just a useless slave, treated way worse than pure trash, getting clowned and stomped on every single day at the bottom of that pit. Not a single soul cared that he even existed. But this kid was hiding a bizarre secret. When a cowardly noble tries to burn the only thing he had left, the boy pulls off a completely wild move. No hesitation, he dives straight into the blazing fire. And that's where it gets crazy. What awakens from inside there? A forbidden ancient magic comes back to life. A power so cracked and overwhelming, guaranteed to wipe everyone who made him suffer right off the map. From a slave to a living legend. You guys have no idea how good this manhwa is. So drop a like and hit subscribe to check out this recap. Among the many precious stones mined on this continent, some hide secrets of an ancient magic forgotten by time. Rarely they hide an ancient magic that's been lost for a long time. Those valuable stones end up becoming the most coveted treasure by everyone. While those guys enjoy the party up top in pure luxury, the underground is boiling with a heavy vibe nobody can imagine, working non-stop. These guys spend the entire day polishing those rough stones at an exhausting pace. A shrill bell echoes through the whole place, signaling that the work shift is over. With the stone in hand, the kid lets out a sigh of relief for finally finishing his job. Furious, a supervisor walks up, grabs the boy by the hair, and yells that the work still isn't good enough. Throwing the pieces on the table with disgust, he mutters that this trash job won't earn a single penny. He snatches the gem for himself, scoffing at the kid's work and treating everyone there like they're useless. The shiny object glows in his hand, while the boss demands the polishing be flawless at any cost. Trying to pull the item from the kid's hand is useless, since the object just won't budge at all. Despite all the pressure, the boy refuses to let go and holds the gem with both hands in a desperate attempt not to lose it. Harsh blows echo as the supervisor goes all out, throwing the kid straight onto the stone floor. Bleeding from the corner of his mouth, the kid feels the weight of the guard's complaints while trying to recover from the beating. His first move is wiping his bloody face to ignore the sharp pain from the hit. That mocking look on the boy's face infuriates the guard, who explodes in shouts saying he can't stand being stared at like that. Mocking the situation, the guard questions if the kid thinks he's all that just because he learned to polish those stones right. With extreme violence, the guard delivers a direct kick to the kid's face, throwing him to the ground without mercy. Zero pity in his eyes, the guard steps up to teach the boy a lesson he won't forget. The foreman's hand grabs the kid's hair to warn him that he'll have to polish everyone's work. Raising his fist with a sneer, the foreman warns that the beating he takes will define the workload he'll have to face later. Without any warning, a heavy punch lands right on the kid's face. Another harsh blow makes the kid's head snap to the side from the force of the impact. A nasty sneer on his face, the brute calls the kid an idiot and orders the rest of the slaves to hit the hay right now. As the guards fade into the darkness, the kid slowly gets up in the back of the cell. With a firm touch, the kid taps the overseer's shoulder and lets him know it was only 3 hits. Surprised, the overseer turns his face to the kid, who still demands to take 3 more hits before leaving. That intense glare shows he remembers their deal, where every strike guarantees the right to polish more pieces for work. He freaks out at such boldness, lets out a yell, tells the kid not to touch him, and shoves him away. Pushing the issue, the kid mutters that he wants to feel more of that punishment. No hesitation, the kid steps forward, eager to take a beating, leaving the supervisor completely paralyzed with fear. Showing zero mercy, the 2 guards gang up to beat down the kid, while a witness watches closely. Panic written all over his face, the attacker lets out a desperate scream for the kid to back off at once. One more solid hit strikes the kid head-on, throwing him straight to the cold, damp floor. Bruised legs and a completely exhausted body leave the kid lying on the ground with no strength to fight back. Hours passing by make the daylight finally invade the silence of that isolated cell. Deep inside that dungeon, the outside brightness starts to outline the shapes of the stone walls. Realizing the sun is already up, he notices he went overboard with the work. With a calm smile, the kid keeps the colors red, yellow, and indigo in his memory. That light blue gem with a really thick glow inside is seen by him for the very first time. Feeling the weight of that precious stone, he stares at the object with a fascination that's hard to hide. Eager to find other varieties, the boy can barely hold back the urge to polish it to perfection. Hate-filled eyes appear out of nowhere in the dark, glaring at the kid with overwhelming fury. Loud sounds of bars being struck echo down the hall, ordering everyone to hurry to work. An aged hand touches the boy's face, asking if he can stand up. Weak and powerless, the boy just nods, accepting the support they offer him. That sudden shift in posture leaves the other prisoners confused and clueless. Along the way, the kid reflects that since arriving in that dark dungeon, no one ever bothered to say a word to him. Nobody ever wasted time even talking to him. Turning to the old man sitting next to him, the kid asks if he needs any help right then. Some foreman walks up unannounced, shoving the kid against the bench and demanding the work be done his way. Threats of a harsh beating hang in the air if the boy gets caught slacking or taking a nap during work. Completely ignoring the threats, the kid keeps a little smirk, focused only on getting his work done fast. He grabs a new purple-tinted stone to start the job right away. With a gleam of excitement in his eyes, the boy already pictures the final result of the carefully sculpted piece. Checking out the boy's work, the old man decides to come clean and asks the reason behind all that weird behavior the day before. Focused on the job, the kid tells the old man to stop stalling and get back to the task. He has no clue what's going on, so he stares at the man and bluntly asks what he's trying to say. That answer comes out short, playing it off by saying he just wants to make the stone shine like never before. Things this beautiful simply never existed in the alleys where he came from. The boy remembers how cruel his childhood was, living out in the rain and fighting to survive like he was just a living ghost. Being a slave in that place is a real nightmare, but he ends up finding some comfort in the glow of those stones. As long as he's trapped there, the kid takes the chance to polish those mysterious stones. Battle Man glares at the kid with disdain and asks if he accepts taking a beating just for that. Questioning the sacrifice of his own sleep to mess with those stones seems pointless to the old man. With zero care for the complaints, he claps back saying his hobby is nobody's business and he just wants to be left alone. Gripping the stone firmly, he insists he's got a peculiar taste for that kind of relic. His attention shifts entirely to the dark ore in his palm, wondering if that thing actually has any trace of beauty. Eyes fixed on the inner glow, he explains that the pattern inside only shows up after the object is well polished. The old man stays hooked, listening closely as the boy claims that feeling this brightness brings a deep calm to his spirit. Surprised by the reveal, the old man asks if the boy can actually see that pattern, while the kid shoots back asking what's so impressive about it. Thinking over those words, the old man brings his hand to his chin while processing every detail of the chat. A subtle laugh appears at the corner of his mouth as he concludes the kid possibly carries the needed talent. And that's where it gets crazy. That gem in his hands reveals itself to be an artifact loaded with ancient magic. Spooked by the movement, the boy hides the gem real quick to avoid any trouble. The old man quickly explains to the boy, showing it's about ancient magic and that these relics are known as magic stones. Grimoires are the key to channeling this power, even though here they only cut the most common stones. Curious, he turns around to ask if there are even more beautiful ores scattered across the world. A single strand of his hair gives a slight twitch, reacting to the old man's comment, confirming the existence of even greater treasures out there. Countless magic stones appear loaded with elemental powers, holding energies of fire, water, and even wind. He feels the tension in the air while processing every word, feeling the weight of that collar around his neck. That curious little gem rests on his palm while the old man explains there are plenty of these rarities scattered worldwide. Looking at the gem, the kid wonders if there's really that much variety scattered around. Eager to understand the system better, the boy pushes the old man to keep going and asks what the next step in this journey would be. Straight to the point, the old man warns that their priority is finding a way to escape that prison. A loud crash drowns out any conversation and freezes the boy in pure shock. With no chance to react, a flawless kick hits the veteran dead on, throwing him against the bench with full force. Desperate, the kid runs to the veteran's side to try and help, but an imposing presence shows up right behind to cut the silence. The man appears in luxurious clothes and holding a weird book makes the kid freeze in terror on the spot. That shiny crystal cover reflects a weird aura that paralyzes anyone nearby. Staring blankly, the kid tries to understand the danger he's facing right in front of him. Malik shows up in front of the duo with that mocking smirk, asking where they think they're going. With a face locked in hate, the noble glares at the two prisoners with a chill that freezes the spine. Not letting himself get intimidated, the kid shoots a look of pure determination in his direction. Mocking the situation, the invader lets out a dry laugh and taunts the old man, asking if he still thinks he's got the energy to try and escape. With a firm grip on the kid's shoulder, the veteran stares at his rival and drops a hate-filled insult. Bold as ever, the old man yells out, complaining that the traitor still has the nerve to show his face around there. Sadistic smiles sprout on his face, completely ignoring the prisoner's despair. Curious about the guy, the kid asks the veteran if he knows him, getting confirmation that the dude simply strayed from the path of the mages. His jaw clenches in a visible effort while bitter memories from the past take over his mind. Malik claps back at the treason accusation, acting super offended while keeping his gaze locked on the speaker. With a cynical smile, the villain makes sure to remind him that their grimoire partnership lasted a solid 30 years. Strength isn't lacking in his hand. Clenching his fist with so much anger his knuckles turn white while hearing the mockery about his former intellect. Looking back decades ago, the two of them are seen sharing studies and chemical experiments in the library. Years have passed, and now the two examine rare relics with the help of spellbooks. Welcomed with hype in a hall full of important people, the reception's vibe quickly gets heavy due to the blatant mockery. Memories of distress reveal that, not too long ago, the old man's granddaughter was at Knifeford being used as a hostage. Malik goes off and throws it in the veteran's face that he's using the kid to steal books and profit by selling these magic gems on the black market. Dead serious, the grimoire mage leader puts his foot down and warns he won't let this string of crimes slide. That sarcastic laugh echoes through the room while the opponent blatantly says the veteran is a massive hypocrite. Mocking the whole thing, the scumbag throws it in the old man's face that his weakness cost him dearly, getting his granddaughter captured and leaving him in this pathetic state. Down on the damp prison floor, the kid listens to all that nonsense quietly. That villain even points out that the veteran was a cracked genius, capable of mastering over 10 types of ancient sorcery. Back in those days, everyone respected the guy and called him the master of miracles. Now that powerful relic is locked in the hands of that greedy old man, taunting him. The villain keeps it real. Without the grimoire, the elder is just a useless old man, good for nothing. With a hate-filled glare, the elder orders the guy to get his filthy hands off the magic book right now. Malik mocks the elder's words, dropping that the idea from the start was to use the crystals to steal that power for himself. Trying to repeat the activation process, the elder freezes when he realizes the energy just isn't flowing like it should. Frustration takes over the old guy as he regrets not being able to reach the power level his former master dominated. Consumed by anger, the old man throws the relic and the stones on the ground, yelling that all of it is just useless trash. That sight freezes the guy as he wonders if the book and the stones are really glowing like that. Just looking at those fallen items was enough to make him feel his heart racing out of control. That energy radiating from the objects makes the kid's chest pound out of rhythm. He feels a tightness in his chest getting stronger and stronger, like something in his body was forcefully awakened. Inside his mind, the book and the crystal seem to whisper, calling him to the center of that void. The villain breaks the silence, guaranteeing that his real power doesn't come from any random magic artifacts. Staring intently at that kneeling group, he realizes the strength he was looking for is coming from somewhere else. With a sharp look, Malik quickly catches on that Klaus's secret is hidden in that weird eye of his. Demanding an immediate answer, the executioner presses to find out how he can see the real power inside each gem. Showing no mercy, the guards rush in and pin down the elder's arms. Without an ounce of pity, the brute fires a flawless punch right into the old man's face. A solid knee strike ends the prisoner's resistance, throwing his body against the cold floor. Panicking from the attack, the kid tries to break free from the guard's grip while screaming for his master. With blood dripping from his mouth, Klaus gives it to him straight. Even if he handed over everything, that noble wouldn't be able to see true magic. That disrespect makes the leader's blood boil, completely wiping the smile off his face. Questioning his rival's own perception, Klaus throws it in his face that all this greed is clouding his vision so much he can't even see what's right in front of him. Blinded by a deep hatred, Malik completely loses his patience and charges at the elder with a massive insult. Grabbing the elder's hair with full force, the attacker snaps and calls the old man an arrogant, hypocritical piece of trash. The pressure ramps up even more as his fingers dig into the elder's scalp with brute force, aiming to cause as much pain as possible. Sporting a cruel look, Malik warns he's going to turn the old man into a lab rat to steal that power, promising to drain every drop of his life till the end. Picking up the relic from the floor, the assistant ensures the object doesn't take any damage while Malik keeps all his attention on the power he wants. With prisoners watching in silence, the noble swears to everyone there that he's going to rip out that power whatever it takes. Taking his time, Malik approaches the table to grab the candelabra and light up the room. With a quick move, Malik grabs the metal stand and raises the lit object to light up the place. Firm in his purpose, Malik raises the flame high to seal that sinister promise in front of everyone, paralyzed by the heat flooding the place. The kid can't even move as he shakes in pure terror. Without any hesitation, the attacker throws the lit flame directly onto the grimoire and the precious stones. Klaus goes into shock at the scene, letting out a desperate scream to understand what kind of madness the old man is pulling. With a cynical smile, the guy replies that if the contents don't serve him, the book is nothing but a pile of useless trash. Sporting a wicked smile, the old man warns he's going to make sure the guy never tries to escape that place again. Pinned down by the guard, Klaus lets out a desperate scream demanding him to stop that madness right there. In a move of pure evil, he throws the lit candles straight at those rare objects to destroy everything. And no one saw that coming. Amid the chaos, Klaus freezes as he notices a crystal floating right there, right in the middle of the flames. Deeply hypnotized, the kid stares at the gem's intense glow while the flames consume everything around it. Without thinking twice, the kid charges straight into the fire, leaving the old man behind looking utterly confused. Criminals go into complete shock at that wild move. The pain is unbearable as he plunges his arms straight into the middle of those scorching flames. He tries to endure the intense heat while his body suffers from the extreme temperature. The stones are his only focus right now, even with everything catching fire around him. With his hands practically burning, he grabs the oars to save what's left from the forge. Catching on to his intent, the elder lets out a desperate yell, telling the boy to hurry and grab the sacred book. True to the elder's order, the kid turns his face to the relic's glow right there in the middle of the fire. Malik rushes forward to stop the kid's every move right in the middle of the mess. With the flaming candelabra held high, the tyrant charges at the kid, ready to crush anyone who dares mess with his plans. He freezes on the spot, eyes wide open, trembling in pure shock at what's happening right in front of him. Gripping the tyrant's arm, the boy warns in a cold tone that no one should cross his path. With a swift move, the kid drops the torch straight to the ground and lets the fire spread. No hesitation, he pushes through the blazing flames with his hand reached out to grab the item. The intense heat makes the kid grit his teeth, keeping full focus to make sure the mission doesn't fail. Fingers firmly on the target, the kid finally grabs the item with a smile, knowing he hit the jackpot. Raising the grimoire amidst the fire, he commands the energy to flow to its absolute limit. A massive flash takes over his vision and blinds the kid, who feels the impact of the thermal shock on his skin. Golden shields take over everything around, keeping the kid protected from the chaos. Watching the scene completely stunned, Klaus wonders if the boy actually has the talent to master this level of power. Freaked out, the boy stares at all this energy around him while trying to figure out what's going on. Feeling his body burning inside, he stares at the fire spinning all around him. Intense reflections of this magical energy take over his gaze, turning the glow he sees into pure shock. That sphere of pure power pulses in front of him, promising a control the kid never imagined having. Malik stays frozen, watching everything with his jaw on the floor, whispering that it's impossible. This is where it gets good. In complete disbelief, the villain stares at the scene as the boy awakens as a grimoire forger right in the middle of the fire. The leader completely loses his patience and orders them to bring the book to him right now. Without a second thought, the henchman lets out a nervous, "Yes, sir," and sets off to fulfill the order. Wasting no time, the noble charges straight into the heat of the flames, trying to snatch the grimoire for himself. With a tight grip on the grimoire, he faces the fire consuming the artifact with full intensity. That figure quickly realizes he needs to stop the book from falling into the elder's hands at all costs. With a roar of pure hate, the elder rages over being outdone by a mere prisoner. A violent torrent of water appears out of nowhere, spinning through the air to put out that fire. Sensing the danger nearby, the kid quickly turns his head while keeping the artifact hugged tight against his chest. Malik forces his grimoire open, firing the devastating Aqua de Vol technique right at the kid. That giant wave pushes forward with no mercy, crashing right into the golden shield that's still trying to hold the impact. Locked in, the kid focuses all his energy even under the torrent, denying any chance of backing down. A shocked look takes over Malik's face upon seeing that his attack ended up doing nothing. Energy blasts mix with the heat of the fight, creating a thick curtain that blinds anyone close by. With his eyes locked on the intense heat, Malik realizes the kid can actually control the movement of those flames with his own will. Raising the grimoire with all his might, the boy realizes, jaw dropped, that he can guide every flame wherever he wants. The villain freezes in complete despair seeing that inexperienced kid controlling magic like a veteran. With an agile jump, Malik uses the artifact to repel the enemy attack and sends that strike right back at its owner, knees planted on the damp stone. The boy catches his breath while Klaus watches, paralyzed. That rare display of talent. That look revealed a rare gift, able to translate every hidden rune right in front of him. Watching that scene, the old prisoner realizes right away the kid has a crazy affinity for forgotten ancient magic. High in the air, that grimoire triggers a powerful magic circle along with the crystal. Klaus drops his jaw, noticing the kid is a natural prodigy awakening right in front of him. But the master knows that, even with all that talent, moment, the kid still has no clue how to fight for real. Worried, the elder calculates that Malik is way too high level and the boy could get knocked out in a blink. Blasts of sharp water fly his way, making the kid block purely on reflex. Pinned down by the guard, Klaus panics and lets out a desperate scream calling for the boy. With fire licking everything around, the elder desperately reaches out trying to grab the kid in that mess. Clutching the sacred book, the kid ignores the heavy heat to make sure the artifact reaches the old man's hands. He slides across the floor to dodge the flames, escaping fast while the enemy summons an overwhelming power. Raising his arm with pure hate, Malik makes it clear he won't let this escape happen, no matter what. Fueled by an unmeasurable force, the executioner builds up the liquid power around him with a look hungry for revenge. A massive blast of water shoots at the kid, while the veteran watches everything, paralyzed with fear. Unfazed by the attack, the boy ignores the danger and manages to pass the relic to the master. In that split second, both keep a firm grip on the relic, sharing a spark of pure hope. The force of the impact throws the kid backward, letting Klaus hold the artifact tightly. Tossing the magic stones while being thrown away, the kid lets out a desperate yell to the old man. Sharp reflexes kick in as the elder grabs all the crystals in the air before time runs out. Massive shockwaves consume the whole dungeon in a snap, silencing the place. Without any control over his movement, the kid spins in the air as he gets violently thrown away, hitting his head hard against the dry stone echoes as he lies there, completely powerless. Eyes glued to the floor, he whispers the enemy's name filled with hate. Klaus grips the grimoire tight, channeling the raw power of the 3 rare stones all at once. His gaze locked on the noble. The old man guarantees all that humiliation ends right now. Taking a step back with the grimoire in hand, the traitor fully focuses on his opponent's next moves. Malik lets out a cynical chuckle, asking the old guy if he really thought he'd win that easily. Heavy chains are pulled hard, forcing the defenseless victims to keep pace with the jailer. 3 kids show up, all scarred and wearing collars, serving only as a cruel distraction for the warden. Panic hits Klaus as he recognizes the captive youths, while the kid watches everything paralyzed. Cruel details catch the boy's eye, revealing a dark mark carved straight into the boy's flesh. With a cold smile, the noble points at the little boy's chest to completely mock the master's reaction. Pressing the open wound brutally, the scumbag confesses he did this damage just to break the old man. He rips the object out with unbearable brutality, explaining it's a very special dark gem. No time to react, the child collapses to the floor, gone, while the guard falls into total despair. Blood stains cover his ear, lying motionless on the cold floor. Klaus and the kid freeze in place, completely shocked by so much evil. Trembling in pure terror, the guard stares at the lifeless body tossed on the ground. Out of pure rage, Klaus drops 1,000 curses on the guy for running experiments on innocent people. Nearby, the boy tries to sit up with maximum effort next to the elder who can barely believe his eyes. Shocked to the core, the kid repeats the words, struggling to believe someone could commit such cruelties. Malik cracks a mocking smile, bluntly saying those test subjects were born destined to live and fade away like pure trash. Uncontrollable fury takes over the boy, who can no longer hide his deep hate for what he's seeing. Showing zero mercy, Malik stomps with full force on the kid's head, who can't even defend himself. With a cynical laugh, Malik drops that the victim should even be thankful for serving as fuel for his research. Klaus completely loses it and lets out a deafening scream, calling the enemy's name with pure hate in his voice. His eyes take on a disturbing emptiness as he decides it's time to put an end to the noble's life. A sinister wave of energy shoots out of the book, surrounding Malik from all sides. Despair hits the henchmen as they try to run away from this devastating power. Shaking with fear, the hostages can't even react, while the whole place rocks from the impact of that energy. The old man unleashes a whirlwind of flames at the traitor, not even giving him a chance to breathe. Shielding his face with his arms, the boy finally realizes what a real mage's power looks like. Malik lets out a groan of effort, trying to handle the recoil of that fire blast consuming everything around. Covered in sweat from the intense heat, he puts in a ridiculous effort to hold his ground and not fall to such pressure. A creepy smile pops up on his face while celebrating the chance to finally see his old partner on his knees. That old guy gets his face right up to the screen limit and orders Klaus to give up, threatening to turn the kid into a lab rat until not even dust is left of his bones. Feeling the danger dripping through his sweat, the kid gets that the tables have turned and there's no escaping this chokehold. Surrounded by flames rising higher and higher, the kid tries to find a way out while feeling the suffocating heat consume the room. Locking his eyes on the gem in his hands, Klaus feels a powerful energy vibrating right in his palm. I brought the crystal closer to the sacred book, trying to make the magic flow one more time. With his eyes fixed on the flowing energy, the boy desperately tries to bring back that feeling of absolute spiritual connection. The glowing patterns of the relic are the only key for Klaus to activate the hidden power. Zero chance he accepts becoming a lab rat for the rest of his life. Whispering a firm promise, the kid clenches his teeth and gets ready to face whatever comes next. In a precise move, Klaus grabs the object with all his strength, feeling the energy take over his hand. Right then, Klaus's gaze gains a determination he didn't have before, entirely focused on the freedom outside. A colossal energy explosion takes over everything, consuming every piece of ore in the dungeon in the process. Shock hits Malik as he stares at that destructive energy swallowing the air around. He tries to process the damage while watching, jaw-dropped, the boy manifest a forbidden power. Amidst this chaos, the boy lets out a hate-filled scream, letting them know that damn captivity has finally come to an end. Staring hard and loaded with fury, the kid faces the executioner and warns him it's payback time. Pure dread takes over the traitor, who trembles before the relentless rage radiating from the kid. A dark smile sprouts on his face as he warns he's gonna wipe out everything right there. Holding the scarlet stone tight, the boy commands the entire dungeon to be reduced to ashes. Everything around starts shaking violently as the energy consumes the place and leaves the crew in shock. Malik freezes on the spot, in disbelief, unable to grasp how that kid summoned ancient magic without needing any grimoire. Consumed by a ridiculous rage, Malik roars for the chaos to destroy everything right that second. Raising his hand high, the kid holds the reddish crystal while all that dark energy spins wildly around him. With his eyes burning in pure hate, the boy swears he'll turn all of it to ashes right then. Klaus watches the scene from afar, book open in his hands, freaking out seeing the magic stones completely collapse. Not believing what he's seeing, the old guy freezes, instantly feeling the weight of that incoming destruction. His hand shakes and the cord just slips through his fingers in a massive fumble. The executioner doesn't even flinch, quickly channeling that weird energy and yelling, calling the kid pure trash. Driven by uncontrolled fury, he releases a wave of dark energy while calling the boy a filthy slave. The attack rushes his way, but the kid stays completely calm inside that flaming barrier. Wasting no time, the kid launches a heavy counterattack that makes the air explode in a violent mix of fire and smoke right at the enemy. Completely cornered by his own incompetence, Malik fully loses it and tries to vent his frustration with a rain of insults. A colossal explosion consumes the room as the powers clash, tearing the entire scenery in half. Planting his feet on the stone floor, the kid feels the heat of the sparks surrounding every inch of his body. Eyes locked on the guards, he channels a cracked energy that makes the ground shake under his feet. Armed guards push through the dungeon to stop the cornered prisoners' rebellion. Malik loses his patience with his goons stalling and goes off telling them to put an end to that slave already. Without wasting time, the squad charges at the kid to quickly carry out the boss's order. Silent, the kid stares down the group with an icy, focused glare. The pressure ramps up, cause they know getting surrounded is asking to get taken out at a time like this. Priorities set, he realizes he needs to get everyone out of there as fast as possible. With energy exploding all around, the kid unleashes his full power to face anyone daring to step up. Roaring with all his might, the kid warns Klaus to watch out for the guys popping up behind his back. Spooked by the warning, the elder freezes on the spot, trying to figure out what's going down. Cornered hostages against the wall catches attention in the middle of the chaos. A torrent of black flames explodes, swallowing the guards with no chance to react. All that destructive force sweeps the prison hallway in a blink, leaving nothing untouched in its path. Despair takes over them, trying to run from the fatal charge with nowhere to go. Desperate screams echo through the place as the flames ruthlessly consume each of them. Malik growls in anger, venting all his frustration on his henchman's failure. Pressing the ground with all his might, the guy plants his feet while releasing that overwhelming energy. That dude freezes instantly, feeling a chill down his spine facing the absurd power coming off the kid. Cool as ice, the kid stays calm and analyzes the opponent's every move with an icy glare. Carefully, Klaus lifts each of the hostages and orders them to get out of there as fast as possible. While the kids flee in panic, the old man takes charge and clears a path through the fire to make sure everyone's safe. With a fearless charge, the kid sends the whirlwind of flames straight at the chains, trying to hold him back. Malik clenches his teeth, feeling the suffocating pressure of that intense heat trying to beat him. Channeling all his focus, he guides the flames with a precise hand motion to control the attack's flow. Eyes locked on the opponent reveal the insane determination of someone who doesn't care about the danger. Despair hits the villain seeing the massive whirlwind, since he can't swallow the idea of being clowned by a mere slave boy. Grinding his teeth in so much rage, he refuses to believe this is actually happening. Palm stretched high, the noble tries to hold his ground while his light shield glows brightly against the impact. The magic barrier gets shattered into 1,000 pieces under the force of the hit. Malik can barely process the damage as he feels the weight of defeat finally hitting him. Heat from that explosion torches the skin on Malik's face before he can even react. That violent blast throws Malik backward with everything. Standing firm, the kid stays put amidst the whirlwind of flames dancing around him. Defeated, the noble drags himself on his knees and mutters with hate that the kid ruined his plans. Gripping the object tight, an unstable energy starts radiating from that hand. Completely out of his mind, the noble points his finger and rants, ordering the kid to vanish from the map once and for all. Wasting no time, the kid channels a devastating energy to counterattack. Malik fires a massive energy sphere to vaporize anyone in his way. Fear takes over the noble when the shield cracks, showing his attack failed completely. Everything starts giving way as cracks spread across the shield under unbearable pressure. Without hesitating, the kid dashes like lightning and locks the noble's neck with brutal force. Sporting a cold and calm look, he warns the noble to stop crossing his path. Screams of pure despair echo through the room while the fire consumes all the strength he had left. Malik collapses to the ground without any reaction while the kid just watches the fallen body from above. Klaus watches all this with his jaw dropped, processing that. Even knowing the kid's potential, he didn't expect such a cracked power spike. He stares at the kid in total disbelief, unable to even grasp that he surpassed a mage on Malik's level right after awakening. With a steady gaze, the kid asks the elder if that bad man can finally pay for his awful crimes behind bars. Holding the open spellbook, the elder keeps a serious face and preps the next spell. While confirming the sentence, the veteran slots the gem right in place for the spell to run. A burst of greenish wind appears out of nowhere, wrapping around the defeated villain's body. The old man tells the kid they're taking the knocked-out traitor straight to the surface. Using full force, the kid crushes the pink gem in his hand. He takes a deep breath, feeling the exhaustion hit hard after burning so much energy at once. Leaning his arm on the boy's shoulder, Klaus insists he pull himself together quick. Without wasting time, the mage gives the signal for them to get out of there ASAP. Stone stairs are the only way out, while the flames consume everything right behind them. An intense light blocks the top of the stairs, making the kid cover his face to protect himself. Rubbing his eyes hard, he tries to get used to the brightness outside. Covered in goosebumps from what he sees, the kid can't hide the emotion of finally being out of that nightmare. Arms wide open, the kid celebrates freedom alongside the elder for escaping for good. Asking the old guy about the location of those stones, the dude focuses on prepping for the journey ahead of them. A voice pops up from the back, shouting they found the kid, and he jumps around to see the danger closing in. Crowds of soldiers show up charging at the kid, blaming him right to his face for the mansion fire. Handcuffed and in total silence, the kid faces the packed trial without lowering his head. The hammer slams hard on the bench, demanding immediate silence in that courtroom. Blaming the kid for the fire at Malik's mansion, the prosecutor claims he doesn't even need a trial, since he's just a slave. With a look full of disgust, the magistrate sentences the kid to his end without even blinking. Screams echo through the hall, with the crowd demanding the kid's head right there, without an ounce of pity. Insults and slurs fly from all sides, with all these people calling the kid a mere filthy servant. Grabbing the prisoner by the arms, the guards drag the kid out while the order to remove him echoes through the hall. Desperate to prove his innocence, he tries to shout that he didn't commit the crime, but his voice just dies in his throat. All the way in the back, the massive gate lights up, and an imposing figure shows up to stop the mess. Klaus steps in with his glasses and cloak, demanding respect while dropping an objection right to their faces. Recognizing the familiar face, the kid loses his breath and freezes at his ally's presence. Whispers echo through the courtroom as the crowd there gets spooked by the legendary Master of Miracles showing up. Questioning the court, he drops a bombshell. Does it really make sense to condemn someone just for being a slave, without even looking for the truth first? With focused eyes, the mage stares down the king and speaks up to find out what he really thinks about the situation. Sitting on the throne, the king stays completely silent, watching everything without saying a single word. After an endless silence, the king finally breaks the ice and mentions it's been a long time since they last saw each other, ruling that the punishment is deserved. The monarch asks why such an influential figure insists on defending a simple servant. Head kept down, the kid ignores the room's pressure and stays in absolute silence. Chest puffed out and full of pride, Klaus reveals to everyone that the kid beside him is actually his one and only disciple. That statement hits the king like a truck, leaving him completely paralyzed by the reveal. Shaking with rage, the monarch jumps up, questioning out loud if a lowly prisoner really managed to awaken magic. In that recent memory, the elder hands over a wooden box containing a magic artifact to the boy. With the artifact resting on his palm, the master offers that powerful item to the kid, while the sacred book hovers right next to him, eyes wide open in shock. The kid can barely believe what he's seen in front of him. Klaus flashes a calm smile, trying to hold back the kid's anxiety in the face of all that pressure. Dirt and sweat marks run across his face, cracking a slight smirk, fingers trembling. He holds the artifact in the middle of the courtroom and realizes he finally got the old partner's message. A firm grip on his hands reveals the kid is ready to grab everyone's attention in there. Staring right at the throne, the kid knows he needs to prove his worth to the king to show he's way more than just a slave. He gathers his courage, faces the judges, and decides to finally reveal who the real villain of that story is. Handcuffs hitting the floor mark the moment the boy's wrists are finally freed from that weight. Looking at his calloused hands, he still feels the grip of the iron collar around his neck. With a serious face, the gray-bearded noble breaks the silence, stating that if the boy really is a grimoire mage, everyone there needs to hear what he has to say. High up from the throne, the king points out he doesn't doubt Klaus, but admits he's never heard of a slave managing to become a mage. Plenty of nobles in the crowd protest loudly, with one rich guy snapping that water mages are way too precious for a situation like that. Arms crossed, the top hat lord snubs the kid, firing off that it's impossible for a filthy servant to awaken such power. No hesitation, the kid presses the gem onto the book to show everyone what he's capable of. And just like that, everything changed. An absurd water torrent pops out of nowhere, swirling around the kid while the crowd drops their jaws at the show. The whole audience goes into shock at the sight, and the top hat lord loses his balance, almost falling backward from the scare. Frowning, the king watches it all, completely paralyzed by an elemental power on this level. He controls the flow with total ease, pausing to reflect on how water magic is truly powerful and beautiful. Outraged by the situation, the top hat lord jumps off his chair, waving his hands, yelling that the whole thing is just an unacceptable mistake. Blood in his eyes, the rich dude snaps that it's impossible for the slave to pull off what so many nobles tried and miserably failed to do. Klaus watches the scene in absolute silence while the kid just ignores all that useless chatter from the court. Out of patience for all the talk, the kid summons a powerful water jet that charges straight at the crowd to shut everyone up at once. The top hat noble freezes on the spot, face sweating cold, seeing the water stop inches from his nose. Water drops hovering in the air keep the noble paralyzed, unable to look away from that liquid threat. Tired of listening, the kid keeps a greel, saying that both he and Malik only know how to harp on about bloodlines and put others down. Grimoire in hand, the kid asks if being born into a noble mage bloodline really gives them a pass to end someone's life. Cold glare locked on target, he presses the guy to answer the question already. Panic sets in as the guy stutters like crazy while getting blasted head-on by the water jet. Completely cornered, the guy tries to act tough and yells that the law doesn't allow taking someone out like this. Smirking, the kid holds his ground inside the dome, while the snob lets out his final gasp of outrage. Mocking every single word, the boy flashes a smug grin while the water swirls around him. Pointing right at the fool, the kid warns that if they're playing by the rules, someone else here deserves a way worse punishment. Down in the crowd, one of the nobles breaks a cold sweat, realizing the tables just turned on them. Clenching his fist, he drops the bomb that Malik tried to take out both the kid and the old man down in the dungeon. Calling Malik out for sacrificing kids in cruel experiments, the boy demands to know why that monster isn't the one on trial. Stunned by the call-out, the king looks over at the old mage, expecting an immediate answer on what went down. Hand on the kid's shoulder, Klaus confirms to the ruler that every single word is nothing but the truth. Pointing at the kid, Klaus claims he wouldn't even be alive to tell the tale without him, and tells them to search the mansion's basement for the hidden proof. Painful memories flood the boy's mind, bringing up the kids Malik snatched away. Kids locked in the dark show the cruel scale of the experiments the boy was forced to watch. Looking up at the throne, the kid vows he won't get executed just for being a former slave, promising to fight back if they try anything. Flexing his raw power, he commands the water around him to secure his escape and put an end to this circus. Rich snobs in the crowd watched a bold threat with their jaws dropped, clueless on how to handle that much power. Calmly fixing his glasses, the old mage steps into the fray, giving the kid a clear smirk. Klaus makes it clear the kingdom can't afford to lose a caster as cracked as this kid. Sharp gaze locked in, the emperor demands a final answer on the spot, backing the guy into a corner. Sighing in relief, the mentor stays quiet while the kid waits for the emperor's final call. Closing his tired eyes, the king admits to the room that tossing away a prodigy of that level is out of the question. Raising his arm with authority, the king wraps up the trial and orders the knights to raid Malik's mansion right away. Cleared of all charges, the kid and the elder head straight for the massive courtroom gates. The ruler calls the veteran over to drop one last instruction before they leave. Straight to the point, the king warns the veteran to watch the kid's every move from now on. Bowing before the throne, Klaus accepts the mission without blinking an eye. Walking out into the sun, the kid stretches his arms to celebrate his freedom, thanking the old man for having his back. Checking out his partner's glow-up, the kid mentions he looks like a whole different person in those fancy clothes. Leaving the past behind, the master walks with flawless posture, shedding any trace of the prisoner who lived in the dirt. Doubts creeping in, the kid bluntly asks if the old guy is really this OP mage everyone talks about. Boy's completely serious. The elder demands to be called a master, proudly revealing he's a grimoire caster. Eager to learn, the kid keeps asking if they can find grub in the forest while planning their trip. With a spark in his eyes, he bluntly suggests the forest might just be the spot to score their next meal. Tired of the kid lacking focus, Klaus shuts that down fast, warning that before worrying about food, he needs to master the basics of magic. The thought of studying just annoys the kid, making it clear he'd rather just hunt for precious stones. That grumpy look on his face proves he is nowhere near ready to listen to a lecture. The map shows the creeping danger of demons pushing into the area, with Klaus warning that going out solo is basically a death wish. Adjusting his glasses, he locks eyes with the kid to make sure he knows this warning is dead serious. Still bruised up from the beating, he clenches his fist tight, knowing the veteran's warning is a harsh truth about his fate. Refusing to just take the warning silently, his hand curls into a fist, showing he still wants to chase those gems. Pointing a finger, the kid reminds the master that he was the one who opened his eyes to how vast this world is. Dead serious, the kid stares at the old man and bluntly asks if he isn't the one who started this whole mess. Sighing awkwardly, the master closes his eyes and admits the kid has a point. Tapping the kid on the head with his book, Klaus keeps it real, saying he knows all that and because of it, the boy has no choice but to become a mage. Running a hand through his hair, the kid listens to the master's every word, looking like he's processing it all. The veteran mentor lays it out, warning that to hunt down those rare stones, the kid needs to study up on them first. 3 gems pop up in front of the kid while the master explains that mastering their hidden secrets and magic will flip everything he thought he knew. Grinding at the tower and becoming a grimoire mage will give the kid the power and wisdom he badly needs. That floating fortress in the background is the kid's next stop, the place where he'll grab exactly what he needs to solve all these mysteries. Guiding the boy, the master stresses how crucial it is to use the academy's backing and influence to his advantage. Walking side by side, the old man promises the kid this whole journey is about earning the freedom to live however he wants, whispering to himself. The kid thinks deeply about what he truly wants to achieve from here on out. Staring at his calloused hands, the boy realizes he finally holds his destiny in his own grip. With perfect clarity, the kid sees that grabbing this power is the only way to earn the freedom to live how he's always wanted. Taking the master's deal without a second thought, the kid just nods to show they're on the same page. No hesitation, he agrees to the mentor's plan and gets ready to head for the magic tower. Flashing a cheeky grin, he warns that if he feels like he's wasting time, he's switching things up instantly. Poking his thumb at his own chest, the kid keeps it real about ditching the place to go on his own journey. A little smirk pops up on Klaus's face, taking the deal on the spot. The welcome wagon starts right there with the old man greeting the kid inside that massive fortress. That massive stone setup seems to swallow his silhouette as the kid takes his first steps inside, kicking off day 1 in this magic tower that's bound to be a nightmare for a lot of people. Flashbacks of yesterday's talk flood the kid's mind as he stares at the place. Detailed explanations drop on how the tower works. It's the kingdom's main defense line against the demon threat, plus the core hub for studying arcane arts and power stones. The old guy explains that grimoire mages here run missions for the kingdom or focus on research, depending entirely on their skills. Watching the hustle by the library, the old man mentions the main hall is the center of all the action. Eyes glued to the sight, the kid tries to soak in all this new info at once. Taking the stairs slow, the old man tells the kid to wrap up the paperwork since the folks upstairs are already waiting. Stalling on the first step, the kid pauses everything and asks what the tutor's next move is. Without turning around, the old guy says he's got other business to handle and can't tag along just yet. Klaus gives the kid a serious look, making it clear he's on his own now and needs to give it his all. Hiking up that endless spiral staircase, the kid starts feeling the burn after just the first few flights. Legs feeling like lead, the kid leans on the railing with a tired sigh, groaning that these stairs never end. Pushing through the exhaustion, he lifts his head and tells himself he finally made it to the top. Checking out the crazy rush at the front desk, he wonders if this is actually the right spot to get things sorted. Panting hard, the kid pushes to the center of the hall to face whatever's next. Bad sight stops the kid in his tracks, leaving him completely paralyzed by what he's seeing. People are floating in the middle of the hall, staring at that massive wall like they're in a deep trance. Golden gears spin at a crazy pace right behind that wall, moving like they've got a life of their own. Eyes glued to the wall, the staffer analyzes every detail of those glowing marks. That epic view leaves the kid frozen, wondering if that thing up front is actually a giant book. Researchers up there look like giants, pointing at and breaking down every secret of that grimoire for the kid. Throwing his hands up in confusion, the boy asks what exactly all these folks are supposed to be doing. A staff girl pops up out of nowhere behind him, taps Klaus on the shoulder, and shouts to get his attention. Spooked out of his mind, Klaus jumps around, clenching his fist in anger and shooting a nasty glare at whoever interrupted him. The clerk flashes a warm smile, confirms his identity, and politely waves for him to follow her. Over at the counter, she checks his paperwork, confirms it's all good, and hands Klaus his ID card. That metal tray holds a weird object that makes the kid's eyes pop wide open. Curious about the item, the kid asks if it's a magic stone, and she confirms it packs a water attribute, perfect for his apprentice rank. Total focus on the object. He locks his eyes on the gem, trying to feel the power flowing out of it. Wrapping up the briefing, the clerk cheers him on to do his best on missions and secure those promotions. Flashing an encouraging smile, she reminds him to go all out on his upcoming challenges. Wondering what the next step is, the kid asks about available tasks and finds out the notice board called Memory has everything he needs. Walking side by side, the two head straight back to the magic device chilling in the center of the hall. Explaining things smoothly, she reveals that panel tracks every mission and research ever done since the tower opened. Adding that the system saves everyone's track record, she tells him to touch the panel to register his profile. Wasting no time, the kid reaches out to interact with that floating interface. The system does a quick scan and confirms Klaus's login is good to go. That high-tech screen quickly pops up his apprentice rank, leaving Klaus mind-blown as he drops his request to the system. The clerk steps in, explaining that the panel works with voice commands too, and suggests he check out the open missions. Keeping a chill tone, Klaus asks for a task, making the clerk laugh as she tells him he doesn't have to be so stiff with his words. Right as there's strange, a full list of quests instantly pops up for him to browse. But the clerk quickly warns him that, per the rules, he needs to party up with a general rank or higher to actually take the job. Pointing at the screen, she explains the Tower Master already handpicked the kid's first mission. Tuning her out, the kid points somewhere else and boldly states he's going to investigate the ore vein instead. Freaking out, the clerk yells that this quest is only for graduates, since the route is swarming with dangerous demons. That super confused look shows she has zero clue how the magic panel just approved it. Desperate yells echo down the hall while he casually ignores the girl's meltdown, claiming combat isn't an issue since the system gave him the green light. Asking about this guy named Lucas, the kid ignores the clerk's freakout and tries to figure out why she's panicking so hard. Stunned is the only word for her face, unable to believe he's so clueless as she asks if they don't already know each other. The clerk quickly drops that the guy is the Tower Master's one and only apprentice, known for pulling off crazy feats everywhere. Hyping him up, she adds that the guy is a magic prodigy, hitting intermediate level in a time frame that normally takes a solid decade. All excited, a redhead coworker cuts in to say the kid is an absolute prodigy who pulled it off in just 4 years. Secrets about the Tower Master's past start leaking, pointing out no one took on apprentices for decades, and the kid is likely the heir to all that knowledge. Super hyped, she makes sure to point out that getting a mage of his caliber as a senior is the biggest jackpot ever. Whispers start echoing across the hall, with the crowd talking behind the kid's back about what he's been up to. Brushing off every nasty comment, the kid keeps walking like those whispers about him being just a slave mean absolutely nothing. The staff girls keep swooning over how handsome and nice the senior is, while the kid just mutters to himself about his new partner. Official papers highlight the supervisor's name, confirming who's running the show. Official signed document in hand, he steps out of the main hall ready to prep for the run. Stopping in front of that heavy wooden door, he takes a deep breath before facing this mysterious tutor. Twisting the knob, he walks in already dreading it, thinking having a partner is just gonna drag him down. Telling himself he's gotta bite the bullet to level up, the kid braces himself for whatever happens. Getting scolded right off the bat about it only being 3 days leaves the kid completely stunned by the tutor's reaction. Feather duster in hand, the tutor starts demanding things get organized, complaining the place turned into a dump just because he stepped out for a second. Pacing the room, the tutor keeps ranting, groaning that the place is a total disaster and demanding a deep clean right away. Squatting down to gather the scattered papers, he mutters about them treating priceless documents like trash. Startled, he starts stuttering, thinking the master came back way too early. Spotting a stranger standing in the doorway, the kid jumps up trying to figure out who this random visitor is. Right off the bat, the blonde realizes this guy must actually be the infamous Klaus. Dropping the act, Lucas flashes a friendly smile and calmly introduces himself as the senior of the party. Staring the guy down, the kid admits to himself that this weirdo actually managed to spook him. Switching gears, the senior quickly figures the kid stopped by the main hall to get the scoop on their task. Giving him a friendly pat on the back, Lucas tells the kid not to stress, since he'll have backup on this trip. Wasting no time, he hands the paper over, offering to clear up any details the kid might still be confused about. Totally ignoring the help offer, the kid walks right past with a cynical smirk, boldly stating he isn't nervous at all. And that's where it gets crazy. He's left in total shock watching the kid casually walk away, dropping that he picked a completely different task. Lucas checks the paper, looking visibly baffled when he sees a different location, quickly asking if they're really heading to that southern forest mine. The official seal stamped on the page grabs his attention fast, proving this paperwork is the real deal. Heading for the exit, he demands to know when they're actually setting out. Hitching a ride on a shared carriage in the morning means they'll hit the southern forest in just over 2 hours. Straight to the point, he drops that they're leaving first thing in the morning, leaving the guy standing there, totally confused by the rush. Books tucked under his arm, the teen walks down the path in dead silence. Lucas tries to keep up, begging the kid to actually listen to the trip details. Papers scattered all over the floor push the poor guy to his limit, since he just finished organizing the whole thing. Strolling down the tower's stone hallway, the kid stays locked in his own thoughts. Thinking it over, the kid admits the senior seems like a decent guy, or close enough anyway. Gathering all those messy papers off the floor, Lucas lets out a tired sigh, like a guy crushed by the workload. Those papers map out the routes, while the guy watches everything from up on the balcony. Locked away upstairs, the kid cracks open a book, telling himself he doesn't need to make besties around here. Taking the chance, Lucas dives into the books hunting for any piece of knowledge that could help. Every book that seems remotely useful gets tossed into a separate pile by him. Flashing a little smirk, the kid vows to grind like crazy to level up fast. Document in hand, Lucas finds out the quest reward is a free pass to pick out any magic book. Eyes locked on the pages, Lucas puts all his focus into moving this trip up as fast as possible. Drained from all the studying, Lucas ends up passing out right in the middle of the messy desk. Waking up with a jump, he stares into space, trying to figure out if it was just a quick nap or if he completely lost track of time. Glancing around, the dude jumps up to get a better read on his surroundings. His attention gets hooked by a senior digging through the bookcases, completely dialed into those massive shelves. Lucas sorts out the scattered papers while checking on 3 weird jewels sitting right next to him. A jolt hits the kid staring at that stone, completely hooking his attention. That magic gem glows hard, flexing golden details that steal the spotlight. Sitting there, the guy grabs a pen to start logging the items onto the sheet. Catching the movement, Lucas quickly drops an apology and asks if he just woke the kid up. Stuttering a bit, the guy assures him that's not what happened at all. The glowing piece ends up in the rookie's hands, making sure to show it off to his partner. A genuine smile lights up the kid's face as he notes, completely fascinated, just how beautiful the object is. Surprised, Lucas mentions he can actually see the ancient sorcery in the item, something only 3 people in the tower can pull off. Catching his partner spacing out, the blonde asks if he's even listening to the explanation. Flat out ignoring him, the kid locks all his focus onto the artifact's golden frame. Breaking down every detail, the kid realizes this frame is built completely different from the other one. Hearing a whisper from out of nowhere, Lucas snaps his head around, still looking pretty clueless. Checking out the tray, the kid notices 2 of those stones are perfect matches. The senior confirms his hunch, explaining that the edge details are exactly what separates the real jewels from the fakes. Inspecting every inch of the pieces, the kid still tries to figure out how they sort the real deals from the knockoffs. Lucas sets a raw piece on the desk, explaining that any item holding ancient sorcery gets classed as a magic stone. Once polished for mages to use, they turn into jewels, with the mentor checking if the kid is keeping up. Each ancient power type decides how these pieces get classed, as he breaks it down for the rookie. These marks in the book show exactly how to bend natural elements like fire and water. Meanwhile, the symbols on the next page show how to control your senses and interact with the space in some crazy ways. Sketches in the grimoire show how to score X-ray vision and even boost your hearing to pick up everything around you. Cool as ever, the partner explains that gem lets you see through solid objects and drops a massive upgrade on your senses. Holding those 2 stones carefully, he tunes in completely to the mentor's words while making sure he's following along. Pointing at the panel, the mentor shows him exactly where to slot the attribute circuit on the left side. Popping perfectly into the slots, the gems start pulsing with heavy energy, booting up the page's magic system. Figuring out those drawn circuits are the key to draining the ancient magic. The kid gets an instant nod from his partner. Moving with precision, he brings the glowing gem down to carefully slot it right into the page's circle. Thinking it over, the kid realizes mages can only handle this ancient magic thanks to the grimoires. Right as he's about to click it in, the senior's gloved hand covers the page, pausing him to explain that the grimoire is actually a must-have. The kid just stays quiet, soaking up every word his partner says with full attention. Dead serious, Lucas hammers home that for a mage, that mystic book is as precious as their own life. Flashbacks hit the kid's mind, dragging up a core memory he kept buried deep down. In that memory, the old master looks furious, screaming that nobody should ever dare touch his book. Holding up that green-covered book, he explains that having a compatible one boosts your power and makes controlling magic a breeze. Smirking in pride, the senior flashes his grimoire to show off the level of control a custom item gives you. Inside his head, the kid wonders if getting his own grimoire really makes that big of a difference for controlling his power. This is where it gets good. That quest packs a massive reward, a free pass to join the grimoire selection. Flashing a smirk, the senior tells the kid to toss the magic stone back on the tray without messing things up. With a confident smile, he swears to himself that his own grimoire will be his biggest ally on this long journey. The carriage wheels start spinning on the dirt road, kicking up dust and rolling away from the scene. Halfway through the trip, Lucas hypes up and says goodbye to the carriage, while the kid watches with a super skeptical look. Groaning about his back, the tutor quickly blurts out that the muddy trail is beating him up. Eyes darting around in doubt, the kid asks his partner if this place is actually the famous miner village. That eerie silence catches the veteran's attention, who quickly notes he doesn't see a single soul around. Worried about the village's deadly silence, Lucas scans every corner, feeling like something is way off. Checking the coordinates, the kid wonders if the mine entrance is actually close to their current spot. His partner confirms the hunch and points out the passage is hidden behind the houses, poking through the rubble. Deep in thought over the whole scene, he tries to figure out the mystery hanging over that village. A dark energy slices through the air, putting both of them on high alert for the danger that just showed up. 3 deformed wolves leap off the rocks with a growl and charge straight at them. Lucas dodges the strikes with ease while warning his partner that this is the quest monster asking for the spellbook right away. Confirming the plan with a firm nod, the kid gets himself ready for the clash. From above, you can see the pack going all out, while the duo opens their grimoires to fight back. Right after, the kid shows off the blue device and lists the stones they can borrow. Memories bring back the exact moment the clerk showed the 3 gens ready for rent on a tray. Gouging the fire's power is key to toasting the wolves without burning down everything around them. Lucas turns around with a serious look and tells the kid to stick close, promising he won't let anything bad happen. The veteran quickly flips open the spellbook and preps the gem slot to summon its power. All the energy starts flowing from the book's pages as he turns down any help, claiming he can handle it solo. Clearly hyped, a confident smile takes over the kid's face, proving he's ready to wreck whatever crosses his path. Intense brightness explodes right at the kid's feet, marking the start of the activation. His hand touches the ground while Lucas just stands there, completely hooked on what's going down. surrounded by 3 walls ready to pounce. He realizes this gem's power is way too raw to control right now. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the kid summons a massive earth pillar to block the strikes. A sharp stone spike pierces right through one of the beast's chests, launching it high into the air. Force from the hit shatters the monster's core, sending blood flying everywhere. Thick dust takes over the scene while the mentor freezes, completely mind-blown by the power the kid just unleashed. Keeping his cool, he explains he read in a book that the key to beating these demons is crushing their crystal. That smirk pops up on his partner's face, unable to hide how hyped he is seeing the kid's cracked talent. Lucas admits his own mistake, keeping it real that the boy actually has the skill to be his official apprentice. With a swift hand gesture, the veteran locks down the beast's movement, pulling a sigh of relief from the kid who barely made it. Quickly, the duo combos their magic attacks to put an end to the leftover wolves for good. The partner fires off a black wind blast in a flash, tossing the last creature far away. Relieved that the mess is over, the kid cracks a smile and thanks his partner for having his back when things got rough. An ear-splitting roar coming from the mines cuts to pieces and throws them both into high alert. Despair hits the guard the second the beast's jaws clamp down on his arm, making the guy scream for help in the middle of the village. As the ground shakes under their feet, the two dash forward to stop the beast from wrecking the village even more. Trying to close the gap, the kid lets out an annoyed groan, seeing the target is still too far, all while running with a tight grip on his grimoire. Cold sweat runs down the kid's face from the sprint, while his partner right behind him stays so chill it's annoying. Lucas pulls the kid by his cape and tells him to hold that mystic book like his own life depends on it. Instantly, the mentor casts the dancing wind spell to boost the duo forward at a crazy speed. An emerald hurricane pops out of nowhere and launches both mages high up in the air. Holding the kid tight, Lucas yells desperately just to be heard over that wild windstorm. With his senses dialed up, he focuses on the battlefield below and spots the deadly danger staring down the survivor. The beast on the ground sinks its teeth into the soldier's arm while the other monster drops from above to finish the job. About to get devoured, the kid flips the book open midair and channels a shield spell to save his own skin. A golden matrix spreads across the ground, locking the creatures down on the spot. 2 wooden spikes burst from the ground with full force, piercing the beasts and making sure the soldier makes it out this time. Landing smoothly right next to them, the kid asks the soldier if he took any damage. Gratitude takes over the guard as he thanks the mages for the save, but the veteran cuts the chat and tells him to bail to a safe spot if he can still walk. A giant shadow drops from above, revealing a monstrous wolf that lets out a roar enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Ready to tear them apart, the beast goes all out with a deadly pounce straight at the duo. That stone embedded in the monster's forehead catches his eye, making him wonder what kind of power is locked inside. Staring hard at the beast's forehead, he spots a faint golden light pulsing deep inside it. Despite the incoming danger, the guy asks if they can beat the demons without breaking that crystal, but Lucas replies super confused that no one ever tried it to know for sure. He senses the energy coming from it, noticing the intense glow in the beast's eyes matches a pure magic gem perfectly. Right then, the mentor looks away, puzzled by the whole thing, thinking to himself that he can't see a single thing there. A heavy doubt hangs over the kid, wondering if he's the only one who can see that glow, or if there's some weird connection between them. Subtle smirk pops up on the kid's face, leaving his partner completely clueless. With a dead serious stance, the guy declares that to crack this mystery, the only way is to get their hands on that monstrous drop. Thinking over the plan, the kid figures he needs to pin the beast down before snatching the gem. Even if the veteran thinks it's a wild idea, his finger pointing at the monster right behind, the mentor asks if the kid can actually see that golden glow on the stone. Confirmation comes back firm, pointing out that even though the gem is smaller than the rest, the detail is super clear right there. Lucas catches on that the kid is dead serious and starts tripping out, wondering if there's something there only the boy can see. Scratching his head, he gives in to the kid's stubbornness, who's glowing with hype to check out that item up close. He accepts the plan on the spot and asks what needs to be done, hearing from the kid that the play is pinning the beast down so he can use the wind gem to finish the job. Without wasting time, the veteran drops the wind spell from above, amazed by the kid's big brain move to solve this mess. A loud yell echoes as the guy orders the wind bindings to trap the beast in a heavy barrier. Lucas yells the kid's name while the wind bindings tighten the grip around the giant wolf. Visualizing the energy flow, the kid puts all his focus on the grimoire to shape the magic force coming from that stone. By pressing his hands on the dirt, he focuses every drop of energy to turn the ground around the target into superfine sand. The mentor holds his ground floating high up, keeping that wind prison under absolute control. Sweat drips down from the crazy effort as the kid channels every last drop of energy to crumble that rock into pure dust. Nowhere to run, the ground loses its grip and the beast's paws sink straight into this quicksand trap. Howling in despair, the beast tries to break free, but the magic keeps it pinned down in the middle of that storm. With his finger pressing the water gem, he gets ready to trigger the next phase of the plan. A massive flood of water drops all at once to soak everything out there. Water crashes down from above with full force, turning the dry ground into heavy mud that traps the beast on the spot. Smoothly, he pulls the water in to completely lock the beast's paws deep in all that mud. That whole mix of mud and water spreads out, leaving the monster completely defenseless against the incoming hits. Giving the signal, the guy drops the command for his partner to finish the job right now. Up high, Lucas summons a powerful wind blade to deal the final blow to the monster. Locked on target, he points his finger and fires the sharp blast right at the mark. But the hit against the beast's forehead doesn't even leave a scratch, getting bounced off instantly by the crazy tough armor. Shock takes over Lucas's face when he notices that magic didn't even scratch the beast. Pure panic sets in for Lucas, who can't even believe how useless that strike was. Frustrated by the whole thing, the tutor calls out that the beast's build is way too solid to beat using just wind. That realization leaves Lucas stressing hard, since not even his sharpest cut could make a dent in the beast. Scanning the tray, he checks out every mystic gem, trying to find a new play to get the job done. By focusing on the red gem, the kid finally realizes that just wind won't do squat. Loudly yelling at the mentor, he pushes for that same sharp attack from before to be used again. Even thinking the request is weird, Lucas agrees on the spot and summons those air currents once more. Fingers pressing the fire slot on the grimoire, he instantly gets that melting something so tough requires extreme heat. The crystal starts glowing like crazy, unleashing a wave of purely destructive flames. Focused, he wonders if he can actually fuse his own heat with his partner's hurricane. Holding the spell steady up high, the guy reaches out trying to sync his own magic with Lucas's. Completely stunned, the veteran watches the intense flames merging right away with that wind spiral. With total focus, the kid forces the flames to merge with the windstorm to boost the attack. Screams of agony rip through the battlefield as the monster feels the unbearable heat burning its own flesh. Lucas channels every drop of energy into the grimoire to hold the weight of this fusion for a few more seconds. Yelling with everything he's got, the kid tells the mentor to unleash the final blow already. Instantly, the veteran nods back and fires that flaming wind blade straight at the beast's neck. And that's where it gets crazy. The blade slices the beast right in half, scattering sparks everywhere. From that hit, the crystal on the beast's forehead pops out and flies away, still sparking through all that dust. That gem gets tossed into the air, spinning wildly while the creature crumbles to pieces right beneath it. Remains of that creature turn to pure dust, fading into the air as the wind sweeps away whatever's left. Kicking off his boots with force, he jumps smoothly off that wooden platform. Lucas flashes a proud smile for the successful hit, but quickly freezes noticing the other guy's weird reaction. A yell echoes from above, showing the guy's panic seeing the kid throw himself into the void without a second thought. Stretching his body mid-air, the kid dives toward the blue horizon to snatch the crystal falling freely through the sky. With his hands reached out high, he gets ready to catch the gem as the village pops up down below. Firmly holding the crystal, he flashes a massive smile of pure victory for finally clearing the quest. Falling fast in free fall, the kid screams in celebration that the monster was finally beaten. Right above him, the partner watches in disbelief as the kid admires the monster's core sitting on his palm. Lucas breaks down the situation and figures that, in pure skill, the kid is already at an intermediate mage level. After a clean landing, the mentor watches how the kid sinks totally different elements with crazy ease. That raw combat genius showing up in the heat of the moment leaves the veteran completely speechless. A subtle smirk gives away that he can barely believe the apprentice he just found. Hyped about the gem on his palm, the kid jumps right up while his partner just watches from afar, trying to process what's happening. Flashing an excited look, he holds out the gem and claims that item hides a golden power inside. Curiosity takes over as the ally crouches down to check up close why that light is so dim. Locking his eyes on a scarlet gem, he tries to figure out the secret behind that weird energy. Lucas admits he can't see a thing and says he'll clear this up with the master as soon as they get back. Comments come up about how, if that gem hides ancient magic, its power is perfect for crafting a legendary weapon. Village guards pop up at the top of the stairs yelling, worried if the guys made it out of that mess unharmed. Quickly, the veteran yells back that things are under control and asks if anyone in the village got hurt during the chaos. That chill vibe quickly fades into clear tension on the kid's face, who looks off into the distance looking super suspicious. Walking silently next to his partner. The kid spaces out, processing that something really weird just happened. Memories flash through the kid's mind while walking past the guards, feeling like someone is calling out to him. Mysterious whispers echo in his mind, bringing up the end of a name that feels strangely familiar. A heavy vibration hits the kid's chest and an intense glow starts slipping out from under his coat. Lucas taps the kid's shoulder to snap him out of that deep trance. Right after, the partner suggests checking the gems in the book before heading for the ore, asking if the kid is alright. Upon noticing the kid hesitating, the veteran just keeps walking beside him toward the village. Doubt is clearly written all over the kid's blank stare as his partner speeds up toward the village. Activity in the village is buzzing, with locals walking around chilling as the duo finally hits the inn's entrance. Scenes like this hit right in the feels, showing the joy of a family welcoming their dad back safe and sound. Over by the table, the tutor checks every detail of the grimoire, letting the kid know both the book and crystals are fully intact. Curious about what's inside the bag, the kid asks the tutor if there are giant stones in there, or just one massive chunk. Super hyped, the kid can't even hold back and wants to know right now if the bag is packed with big rocks or just one huge block. With his heart racing, the boy rushes ahead, completely ignoring Lucas's warnings to chill out. A sharp yell from an old man cuts their walk short, telling the duo to stop right there. Gripping his staff with zero patience, the elder charges at them, forbidding anyone from entering the mine to keep the fury inside from breaking out. Confused by the ban, the guy looks at the old man and just asks who this Lord Aonima is supposed to be. Instantly, the old man claims that entity is the legendary forest guardian who's lived around there since the dawn of time. Staring at the elder dead serious, the two mages just listen to the whole explanation without showing a single reaction. In an attempt to calm the old guy, the kid grabs his arm but gets a rough shove back from someone who still insists the demon attack is the youth's fault for not worshipping. Having no way out, the guy turns to his partner and admits they need to stick to the plan right now. Taking advantage of the mess, the duo ignores the old man's rants and bails out of there as fast as possible. Deep underground, the duo heads down that wooden staircase toward the unknown waiting for them in the mine. Eyes scanning the area, the kid checks out the cave vibe while Lucas guesses the mentioned creature must be a phantom beast. During the walk, the mentor explains to the kid that these legendary beasts don't belong to the animal group or the demons. This confusing class leaves the kid puzzled, trying to figure out how something can exist without fitting into any of those categories. The magic stones topic gets the kid totally hyped, his eyes shining with pure curiosity. Lucas adds that legends say these creatures live past 1,000 years, master ancient magic, and are scattered all over the continent. An ancient map pops up on screen marking several mystery spots across the continent where these rare beings probably still hide out. With the lantern in hand, the tutor leads the way through the cave while the kid wonders if any of those legendary beings are nearby. Stopped at the entrance, the two take in the silence of that cave while wondering if a legendary creature really exists around there. His partner mentions that if something's down there, it's definitely an unregistered phantom beast, but tells the kid not to get his hopes up finding one right away. Pointing up with that subtle smirk, he reminds him that these beings are treated like actual gods by anyone who knows their stuff. A look of pure confusion takes over the kid's face, while his partner keeps explaining these beasts follow their own whims and only care about specific mages. Ancient legends say these creatures drop a unique gift for whoever they decide to bless. Lucas quickly explains that, even though there are stories about it, a lot of people just treat it as a myth since there's no hard proof. Thinking over this whole chat, the kid goes back to wondering about that deity and tries to process every single detail he heard. He pictures what a body entirely made of magic stones would look like, trying to visualize this weird form with all the curiosity he's got. Thoughts about how long these creatures live make the kid wonder if they're the key to figuring out where these ores really come from. Maybe that creepy whisper came from one of those creatures. As Lucas announces they finally reached the spot, an intense blue light shines from deep inside the cave, leaving Lucas with his jaw on the floor. His gaze gets lost in the reflection of that glow, hypnotized by the unique beauty coming off the crystals. Walking toward the source of that glow, the two stumble upon a wall packed with magic crystals lighting up the whole place. Driven by curiosity, the kid runs ahead to check out the gem up close and drops a compliment on its insane glow. By touching the sharp tip, the kid confirms that thing is actually a legit magic stone. Fascination takes over his face as he stares at that treasure, which seems to radiate a one-of-a-kind energy. Making things easier, the partner notes that the golden light turns, inspecting that crystal vein into a breeze. Lucas takes the chance to praise the kid, pointing out that anyone without this gift has to rely on tools. A bizarre ringing echoes in the kid's head and a faint whisper begs for help non-stop. Spooked by the noise, the kid turns his head right away, trying to figure out where that weird call is coming from. That desperate voice keeps pushing, making the boy lock his eyes right on the cave floor to try and spot the source. The ground gives way in a blink and the kid drops, leaving the veteran up there freaking out and screaming his name. Desperately, he tries to grab onto something midair while plummeting straight into the dark. Top speed is all he feels as he falls into the abyss with nothing to hold on to. Impact against the dry dirt is brutal, forcing the kid to rub his face while letting out a groan of pain from the hit. Upon opening his eyes, the kid stares at something beyond belief, with intense light reflections taking over everything he sees. Massive giant crystal formations pop up in front of the kid, flooding the hideout with a blinding glow. Walking dizzy through the sanctuary, he tries to wrap his head around what's going down in this weird place. No one saw that coming. Golden symbols start floating in the air, leaving the kid totally mind-blown, realizing this whole place is packed with magic stones. Looking closely, he convinces himself that the room is packed with pure, concentrated energy. Focused on the details of that sight, the kid can barely believe the beauty right in front of his eyes. From down below, the kid yells to check if Lucas is okay, while the mentor shouts back yes and tries to shake off the scarab top. Following the orders, his partner tells him to hold tight while he finds a way down, and the guy notices the blue light around him getting insanely bright. A weird sound cuts the silence, putting the kid on high alert as he spots some sketchy movement coming from deep inside that light. Huge silhouette pops up from behind the crystals, leaving the kid frozen stiff without a clue of what's happening. With a horn and a fishtail, a giant creature shows up looking majestic right in the middle of that crystal-clear water swirl. Eyes wide open, the kid tries to figure out if that thing is actually alive or just an illusion. Slowly, the beast gets closer and, with a calm voice, mentions it catches a nostalgic scent coming from the kid. Hesitating just to be safe, the kid keeps his distance, but the entity quickly chills him out, promising there's no reason to be on guard. That entity explains it's just an ancient soul, which leaves the kid puzzled about the voices echoing right in his head. By taking a closer look at the creature's body, the kid realizes, totally spooked, that its whole frame is made entirely of mystic gems. Remembering the legends he heard up top, he wonders if he's really face to face with a legendary phantom beast. Blinking slowly, the deity calmly confirms that's exactly its title. Ancient tales flash through the kid's mind, wondering if this entity is actually the one who lured him here, revealing it came closer due to a nostalgic scent. The entity asks if the boy can see the same world through those new eyes. Dead serious, the beast confesses this world used to be full of people like him, but it's been centuries since it met one. Staying dead quiet, the kid tries to process the weight of those words while staring at the monumental creature. Focusing his gaze, he wonders if that entity is talking exactly about the golden marks popping up on his hands. Weird marks come to life, floating between the boy's fingers as the energy awakens. Chuckling mockingly, the guardian asks if the kid actually thinks that's just some regular light. Right at the bat, that crystal whale explains its ancient magic and asks if the kid is really clueless about it. This sight reveals the mana flow sealing the power in the stone since ancient times, making the kid wonder why nobody else sees it. Still a mystery, he mentions an old acquaintance used to call this power a divine gift for the universe's favorites. Watching the kid calmly, the colossal creature confirms that's exactly what it heard a long time ago. Looking at his own body, he thoughtfully repeats those words about being so cherished by creation. A little smirk pops up on the boy's face like he's finally accepting this weird destiny. Soon he reaches out to touch the surface of that powerful barrier. Right at the touch, a freezing sensation runs across his skin, proving this place is loaded with a whole different energy. Chills shoot up his arm as he notices the structure vibrating, feeling like thick, cold water slipping through his fingers. Both hands touch the cold surface and he feels instant relief wash over his whole body. Amazed by the sight, the kid flashes a chill smile, recognizing the unique beauty of that creature. An energy explosion takes over the room, making the kid step back, spooked by the impact of that powerful wave. Thanking him for the compliment, the creature confesses it never heard anything like that, promising to flex to the 7 stellar kings when they meet. Confused by the weird term, the kid drops a direct question to try and figure out what that means. Clarifying things, the beast says they ruled the top of ancient creatures, acting like noble kings shining just like the stars themselves. These beings are the pillars holding up the world, leaving the kid jaw-dropped imagining there are 7 other guardians even more OP out there. Letting out a heavy sigh, the guardian mentions it's been forever since it last met up with that crew. Then the giant notices it talked too much for someone who just woke up, admitting age is catching up, leaving the kid a bit awkward. That massive creature warns it's time to head back to a deep sleep, making the boy wonder where these guardians actually live. Head down, the kid reflects on the real meaning of that ancient magic mentioned by the gigantic being. And that's where it gets crazy. Intense energy pops out of nowhere, forcing the guy to react fast to protect himself. Legends guarantee that if the kid keeps this special vision, his path and the king's will definitely cross. Promises about these rulers guiding the kid to the source of all power echo in his mind, repeating every word in pure shock. Following the guide's advice, the boy reaches out to get answers straight from the deities. A transcendental energy manifests, kicking off the journey he's got to face solo. Light explodes right in front of the kid, while he tries to master the complex spell passed down by the deity. That scale carries centuries of pure mana, leaving the boy completely stunned as he wonders if the item is actually a magic gem. Echoing firmly, the guardian's voice states the guy is simply blessed by the universe and will breeze right through this mission. Shaking everything around, the beast guarantees the kid will reach his destiny before fading into the dark. Staring into space, the boy soaks up every detail about this mysterious primordial stone. Reaching out in the middle of that flood, the kid yells for the being to wait because he still has a lot of questions. Fading into thin air, the creature vanishes, leaving the kid standing there scratching his head, completely clueless about that ore. An intense flash takes over the cave, and the kid has to cover his face to block out that blinding light. Gripping that glowing fragment tight, the kid screams out for Lucas Valen as the flash starts to fade. Sprinting through the dark with a lantern in hand, Lucas Valen shows up relieved to finally find the boy. Looking around, he goes into shock seeing that the giant chamber, once packed with crystals, is just gone. Startled, he snaps his neck around trying to find any clue of that place that simply vanished from the map. Surrounded by the mine's darkness, the kid stares at the area now holding nothing but regular coal rocks and dirt. Sensing a weird presence, the boy realizes the beast is there, just sleeping deeply in a super secret hideout inside that mine. Staring at the precious stone with pure curiosity, Lucas drops a question asking what exactly the kid is holding. Stuttering awkwardly, the kid explains it's a blessing left behind by a fantastic beast. That info leaves his partner totally mind-blown, while the boy just tries to explain himself the best he can, looking a bit shy, trying to find a way to explain the mess. The kid just freezes up trying to get his thoughts straight. Moving on, the focus shifts to the massive magic tower where the duo arrives to report the mission updates. Thorough checks are done by the white-bearded master, quickly realizing it's a demon core, and a rare gift from a legendary creature. All that beauty impresses the old man, while Lucas takes the chance to ask if he wants the full mission report already. But the veteran cuts the chat, orders them to just hand in the basic reports, and says he'll handle telling the higher-ups about the beast and the gems himself. Curious about the call, the kid turns his head right away to hear what the master has to say, explaining that the scale is a divine gift. The master tells the boy to polish the piece and turn it into a super special jewel. Hyped about the chance, the kid immediately asks the master to teach him how to use the polishing tools. Some kind of distraction takes over the kid, making the master demand his attention instantly with a blunt question. That simple mention of the magic book leaves the kid's eyes shining with pure hype. In the blink of an eye, the kid dashes off and leaves the blonde guy completely speechless. Sprinting down the hall, the kid yells for the master to hurry up, getting all excited to grab that magic manhwa. Desperate, Lucas chases after him, begging him to stop, but the kid keeps going with a huge grin, completely ignoring the poor guy's panic. Finally reaching the tower's reception, the duo steps up to the counter to talk to the clerks. Sporting a look full of determination, he celebrates inside, knowing he's about to get his hands on what he wanted so badly. Pulling up to a massive chained gate, they spot 2 guards in black watching over that secret entrance. That heavy metal lock lets out a sharp click as it slowly opens. A crack opens up slowly, revealing the kid's tense face on the other side. Anxious doesn't even cut it for what's going through his head while peeking through that crack. A gigantic library shows up right in front of him, packed with shelves that look endless. Then the sharp sound of bells rings through the air, signaling that something is about to start. Handing over an important document, the guy watches the girl react with pure surprise. Golden gears start spinning, moving the mechanism at a crazy pace. Now, everyone's staring at the giant book, super curious about who's going to be chosen. But the vibe gets heavy, because nobody believes the new slave actually joined the contest. Surrounded by tons of students, he stands his ground while the group checks out the place. Meanwhile, the crowd talks trash about his luck, but the book's glow says otherwise. Breaking down the situation, he brings up the memory logs and the book's glow. Staring at the guy holding the papers, the girl looks completely clueless about his wild idea. Next, the trio arrives at a massive locked door holding hands. Suspicious. He asks if that grimoire is actually hidden around there. Confirming the guess, the guide points to the grimoire library, where everything gets managed. Dead serious, the short-haired kid breaks the silence, grabbing Alan's attention. Right there, the ceremony rules are clear, the book picks its owner, no touching allowed. Doubling down on the warning, he says if the grimoire doesn't pick him, he leaves empty-handed. Visibly shaken by the news, he questions if he's really gonna walk out of there with nothing. Flashing the access pass, the blonde explains that only this rite grants them entry. Pass in hand, an intense light shines from the entryway, opening the path for them. Right after, the guy warns that totally inexperienced mages have zero chance with the books. Continuing the warning, he adds that whoever fails will have to start their training all over again. But for anyone who keeps pushing, the place allows for a brand new try. Then the blonde cuts the chat and hands something important to the boy. Curious, the kid stares at that glowing sphere and asks what that is. Out of nowhere, the object spreads its wings and flies off, leaving the kid totally mind-blown. Then, his partner explains it's just a magic mechanism to keep an eye on everything from afar. While the little watcher takes to the sky, the golden glow lights up the whole scene. Taking the chance, the group mentions the footage is probably already in memory. Catching the tension, the blonde tells him to just chill right there. Keeping a chill face, the blonde cracks an encouraging smile right before saying goodbye. Shooting a cryptic look, the dark-haired guy wishes his partner good luck. Right after, the focus shifts to a sleek black boot stepping firmly into the room. Walking down aisles packed with books, he seems to be hunting for something specific. But the library's silence bugs him, making him wonder what's really going down. A winged object floats nearby while he catches the sound of some weird breathing. Suddenly, he spots a bright glow coming from a shelf and just mutters, "Got it." Scanning the shelves, he points out the glow and explains that not everything there is magic. Eyes locked on the blinding glow, the girl watches the light spread across the library. Looking on high alert, he repeats the warning not to touch anything, even if he looks a bit doubtful. Completely lost, he crosses his arms and vents about how to even know the truth. Spooked by a sudden move right next to him, he blurts out, "What is that?" Spotting something creepy stepping out of the shadows, his eyes go wide and he whispers, "A demon." Catching something weird in the air, she squints and mutters that something shifted. Popping out of the glow, a light-furred wolf with a glowing mark on its forehead shows up. Hypnotized by the seal's glow, the guy freezes for a second after locking eyes with the mythical creature. Shouting a warning, the kid tries to stop the wolf rushing quickly across the room. Moving fast, he dashes straight for the bright light at the end of a library. Desperate to get away, he sprints through aisles packed with ancient books. Standing surrounded by books, he spots a weird light and stops, totally curious. Facing the intense glow, the boy stares down the mystical wolf standing right among the books. Caught completely off guard, he lets out a gasp seeing that insane sight. With a sharp, piercing stare, the creature lets out a howl that echoes through the room. Visibly confused, he just freezes there, with no clue what to think or do. Calmly, the majestic beast closes its eyes, giving off an aura of pure peace. And no one saw that coming. A purple flash explodes right on its forehead, revealing a glowing seal. In a flash, a magic energy wraps around the guy, creating bright bonds of light. Paralyzed, he widens his eyes, trying to process all this weird magic. Suddenly, a blast of power shoves him backward, lifting the guy right off his feet. Thrown hard against the library floor, he ends up totally losing his balance. Then, a small winged magic sphere pops up hovering over the area. High up there, a pulsing book shows up glowing with an intense, unexplainable light. Meanwhile, the crowd around starts panicking, wondering just how much power that slave actually packs. Facing all that chaos, the onlookers stand there, jaw-dropped, confessing they've never seen anything like it. Then, a scholar analyzes the glow, suspecting it's pure ancient magic. Looking up, the kid stays paralyzed, staring at that floating magic object. Acting like he knows what's up, the young guy opens his arms, looking completely intrigued. Next, the boy firmly holds the grimoire surrounded by an intense magic aura. Eyes wide open, the guy looks hypnotized by the light, barely believing it. Feeling the energy vibrate, he just mutters, "I can feel it," while the book glows. Then, the boy notices a magic pulse, almost like the mana itself is actually alive. Wrapped in that massive shadow, the guy hugs himself, looking tense and fully alert. Staring at that radiant winged spear, he asks in disbelief if he really found his grimoire. Hugging the ancient book, he smiles with a peaceful look, totally given in. Then, a giant projection pops up over the group, leaving everyone with their jaws on the floor. Seeing the kid's cracked power level, the old mentor confesses his potential completely shattered all expectations. Once they reach the library, the duo spots a figure just standing there waiting for them. Spreading his hype, the apprentice shows off the artifact he was searching for. Breaking the silence, the wise man reveals he tracked their every single step. Now, the guy hands the book to the master, sealing a major deal right under the light. Checking out the tome carefully, the wise man notes that, even though it's old, it's a great book. Looking dead serious at the kid, he drops a short and blunt warning, "Treasure this." Then, the vibe completely shifts when the elder tells them both to grab a seat. Watching from above, the scene shows the group chilling around the table. Meanwhile, the guy takes a sip of his drink, dropping a compliment on how amazing it smells. But that chill vibe dies the second the master brings up a super serious topic. Staring at the guy with sharp eyes, he looks ready to finally spill everything. Voice steady, the old man demands the guy repeat exactly what the creature told him. Dropping his guard, the guy reflects on what that mysterious beast whispered to him. Soon, the image glows with magic, revealing that scaly creature he described. Spilling the truth, the reflection shows the guy seeing way past what everyone else sees. Keeping the story going, he confesses the 7 stellar kings would be his guide. Catching his hesitation, the mentor figures that even if it's early, it's time for the truth. Then, the legend explains the 7 stellar kings are 7 famous legendary beasts. Expanding on the spot, the magic map reveals the 5 major lands of this world. Keeping the explanation going, the mentor points out there's a mythical creature ruling each one of those domains. Doing the math, the guy frowns, asking why they only bring up 5. About the missing 2, he reveals nobody knows where they are, maybe just roaming around. Looking worried, the young guy admits they searched everywhere but found absolutely nothing. Intrigued, the kid tries to get a better grip and asks about this so-called origin of magic. Answering the question, the old teacher states the source of all magic likely comes from something called the primordial mana stone. Stunned by the reveal, the guy repeats the object's name, trying to process the weight of this ancient myth. Word is, it holds the very first magic that ever showed up in the world, but nobody knows the truth. Just imagine, what if someone actually found this primordial mana stone and used its hidden power? Keeping a serious tone, the mentor reflects on secrets that have lasted for centuries. This is where it gets good. An intense flash bursts from the open book, like the answer to the ancient magic mystery is finally showing up. Soon, that guy with glasses breaks the silence, asking if meeting the beast in the mines wasn't a warning about the 7 stellar kings. Flashing a mysterious smile, he calmly nods along with what he just heard. Then, he drops the bomb. The kid's destiny is to track down the 7 stellar kings. Holding the artifact, the young guy notices how brightly that stone glows, being a sacred gift from a mythical beast. Keeping his eyes on the shiny gem, he explains those are the king's stones. Hypnotized by that bright glow, the guy feels the power locked inside has got to be even crazier. Standing tall, the guy looks right at his master and blurts out that his mind is made up. Now, fully determined, he announces his plan to become a top mage just to track down the 7 stellar kings. Smirking with a wicked look in his eyes, he vows to check out every single magic stone in this world. Facing the kid's boldness, the old master just warns him that if that's really the plan, he better be ready. Then the old man leaks a dark secret about the demon invasion sweeping the continent. And according to the master, these creatures are hunting down the continent's mythical beasts. Making things worse, he says a mythical beast was found dead right in the guard's territory. Yeah, the elder warns that facing the 7 stellar kings will draw demons, so the kid has to become the greatest grimoire mage ever. Now he holds a glowing magic jewel, staring at the crystal with a focused look. Giving the kid's goal a thumbs up, he drops a tip right away. How about starting by taking the grimoire to the basement workshop for some tuning? Hiding in the shadows, the guy mentions that's exactly what the master told him. So he walks into the workshop and chats with the elf clerk about the gear. Then, the blacksmith shows up in the room, super focused on heavy welding some piece. Walking in, he gets hit by how massive the workshop is, packed with craftsmen doing their thing. Checking out all the hustle, the guy drops a comment about the buzzing vibe of the place. But as he steps up, the guy gets a major jump scare when the elf asks if he's here for the book tuning. Still shaking off the scare, he nods at the elf and decides to get the book checked out right away. Looking the item over, the elf says it won't take long and tells him to wait. Surprised, the guy asks if she can actually grade the item just by looking at it. With the job done, the elf hands over the the item, warning him to take good care of that precious book, and the guy quickly promises he will. Then he notices something different, taking a close look at the shape of her ears. Up close, you can spot the earring pinned right to the tip of that pointy ear. Catching that curious stare, she cracks a smile and teases, asking if he's never seen a woodfolk before. She keeps the chat going, explaining that only the forest people master magic arts, while the stone guards handle running the workshop. Focused, the craftsman strikes the bench with a tool, marking the item with flawless precision. Shock takes over him when he realizes those rough stones are actually powerful magic gems. Looking at the lantern next to them, he notices they use magic stone fragments that can't be turned into OP jewels. So, he warns the young guy not to touch the pieces, but the kid can barely hold himself back. Suddenly, an idea pops into his head, leaving the kid deep in thought. Taking advantage of the topic, the guy brings up the legend about the beast in the elven lands. He catches her curiosity, dropping a playful smile and asking if she's interested in that. Hyped about the story, he claims he really wants to meet this beast in person. Humbly, he denies knowing any technical details, pointing out that the Guardians master that topic. Feeling confused by the term he just heard, he drops a question mark in the air. To explain it better, the elf smiles while showing an ancient tome, revealing there are forest folks dedicated to protecting the mythical creature. She shares a secret with a mysterious five, saying those guys know more about the beast than anyone else in the forest. Right then, a pair of gloved hands pops out of nowhere, poking him with an annoying touch. Getting closer, the elf whispers that he smells pretty good for a human. Rooted out by the whole thing, the guy brings his hand to his face, catching a peculiar scent. She finds the kid's confusion funny, smiling with her eyes closed and keeping a playful tone. The elf drops a shocking bomb, saying a single escorted person can handle everything, leaving the kid in total disbelief. With an enigmatic smirk, she asks him to keep it a secret, letting out a sigh that leaves the guy curious. Hitting the road again, he chills lying on the wagon's roof while the convoy moves forward. Drained, the elf lets out a deep sigh and complains that this escort job is a real drag. As the driver warns they're already reaching the magic tower, he gets a simple, "Got it" from the guy resting in the back. He lies there staring at the blue sky, wondering about the destination finally showing up. Surrounded by figures in the trees under the moonlight, he groans that the chat is over. With the vibe getting heavy, the guy faces the ambush with his face marked by tension. Flashing a mocking smile, the elf steps up looking imposing under the bright full moon. Casually keeping his hands behind his head, he drops a taunt, confirming the opponent was nothing but a joke of a fighter. He yells out in frustration, showing some deep boredom while lying on the ground. And just like that, the young guy gets the object, saying thanks while the elf warns him not to trip. Raising the ancient tome with a gleam in his eyes, the guy celebrates the epic find. Suddenly, a feather drops while the bird flaps its wings and takes off. As the feather floats calmly, the scene shifts to a mystery-filled office. Locked onto the blue crystal, he mutters that he's just a little bit away from finishing. Opening the office door, someone interrupts the work, calling out for Alan. He spots the exhausted and focused kid, pointing out that the whole night has already passed. Right after, the system pings about the open market and they both get hyped. Walking into the place, they run straight into a buzzing market full of life. Then his eyes go wide, looking at all those bottles, letting out a wild wow. Mind blown by the variety, the two point at the shelves, super excited. Holding a tiny magic flame, the young guy bounces with joy at the result. At that moment, he remembers the traditional crafts made by the forest people. But, losing track of time, he remembers why they came and says goodbye. Even knowing the forest folks are nearby, something feels way off. Pulling a mysterious gesture, the elf reminds them that a powerful guardian was supposed to be tagging along. He scans the area around, noticing that nobody there seems to fit that role. By checking out the busy vibe, he quickly realizes that place is anything but ordinary. Then, the focus shifts to a yellow-feathered creature locked in a cage. Staring at that bizarre sight, the kid questions if they're actually selling living beings. Out of nowhere, a massive fire explosion pops up right in front of them, spooking the horses. Completely shook, he frowns and lets a question slip out about what he's seeing. Yelling a desperate escape order, the elf pulls the others far away from there. Behind him, a massive wall of smoke rises up, forcing the guy to sprint hard. He glances back with wide eyes, trying to figure out if something escaped all that mess. Feeling a chill down his spine, his eyes go wide, realizing something is very wrong. Right then, a giant gorilla steps out of the shadows with red eyes glowing with rage. Facing what he sees, he wonders if it's a Morlock, but notices some weird behavior. With a sudden move, the beast charges in the crowd, scatters in pure panic. Barking orders, the elf warns everyone to bail out right now. Cornered by this chaos, the guy barely hears the elf shouting, demanding attention now. With purple energy blasts popping off, the elf calls for water, surprised by the Morlock. Channeling mana, the kid summons a magic circle of intense light over the book. The beast lets out a deafening roar, unleashing a sinister energy blast. With a swift jump, the elf archer fires off a powerful purple energy blast. And just like that, the kid makes a firm hand gesture, shutting up the elf behind him. Making the ground shake, he summons a flaming rock tower onto the battlefield. Gripping their bows, the archers notice the young guy's outfit and drop their jaws. He keeps a focused look, releasing a bright sphere straight from the butt. Turning his face with an intimidating glare, the kid drops the question point blank. Interrupting the moment, the elf says thanks for the help, but quickly tries to push the kid away. Reluctantly, the boy turns his head and lets a salty comment slip out. The gorilla stares down the archers firing blasts, while someone yells to stay focused. Desperate about the situation, the elf notices the arrows aren't doing a thing. Trying to keep his cool, the kid hides his nerves, wishing Shumiel was around. With despair hitting hard, he opens his mouth to yell, demanding to know where the target is. He looks around and drops a curse word, pissed off about the lazy guy vanishing. Then an urgent warning cuts the air while the monster fires off blasts of fire. Dodging by a hair, the young guy throws himself to the side while the flaming strike rips through the air. Blown away by the scene, the guy can't hide his shock and drops a quick compliment. He drops his jaw watching the magic being cast at a crazy speed. Stomping hard, an imposing foot lands without mercy right on the opponent's head. With insane ease, the guy controls that massive energy up in the air. Keeping the momentum going, he unleashes a brutal hit of pure energy on the monster. Now, showing off his grimoire with a confident smile, he gets ready for the chaos. With surgical precision, his fingers place the glowing gem right on the surface. He fires a flawless attack in a flash, slicing through the air with everything. Up high, the sky rips open into a water whirlpool while the beast watches tensely. Then, an intense magic glow wraps around his hand as he shows off the OP ring. Right after, a flood of water and earth crushes the monster with zero mercy. Spooked, the kid's eyes go wide, seeing the water magic spinning all around him. Driven by panic, the two elves notice the monster's control over the sand and start screaming. Now, a sinister sand cloud rises up behind the gorilla, ready to strike. Keeping his cool, the young guy opens the ancient grimoire and starts casting his magic. He drops his jaw in despair over the situation and lets out a cry for help. And no one saw that coming. A massive explosion wrecks the structure right ahead, leaving both elves in shock. With a precise move, the young guy summons a water torrent that leaves the opponent paralyzed in terror. Blown away by so much power, the elves watch in disbelief as this human goes to work. Wrapped in the water he's controlling, the guy keeps a steady glare, calm and lethal. He watches everything with absolute attention, fully dialed into how the battle plays out. Smugly, the long-haired elf lets out a chuckle and watches the chaos take over. Jumping into the air, the archer fires an arrow while the mage commands the field. While trying to hold back the creature with his magic book, he sighs in frustration over the fight. He fires an intense flame blast from the book, giving the enemy zero room to breathe. Pointing right at the target, he unleashes an energy flash that dominates the whole scene. Carefully aiming where the energy is thickest, he preps for a flawless strike. Surrounded by an intense magic aura, the young guy keeps complete focus on the clash. With his eyes wide open, he spots the danger rushing right his way. Then the gorilla opens his mouth and fires a green energy beam straight at the castle. Getting hit, the mage tries to block with the book while shrapnel flies everywhere. Right behind him, the elf pops up with a mysterious smile and drops a "not bad, kid." He freezes on the spot in surprise, while the elf mocks him with a chill gesture. Impressed, the elf checks out the kid and thinks about how he's just built different from the rest. Catching the kid's shock, the elf just waves and jokingly asks if he scared him. By staring the elf dead in the eyes, the MC finally recognizes who's standing there. Shumiel. The elf flashes a smirk, points at his ally, and confirms it. He's the guardian. Meanwhile, the group crashes the moment, demanding answers, while the MC says his thanks. Swiftly, he calls out for his partner, grabbing the elf's attention right away. Someone grabs the elf's hood right away, forcing him to turn his face real quick. Annoyed, the elf takes a heavy scolding, but tries to keep his cool with a smile. Even getting yelled at hard, the elf keeps laughing and begs for no fighting. Running on empty, he vents out his frustration right at the one bothering him. Outraged, the elf points out how absurd the scene is, asking if they have zero clue about the danger. They look confused as the elves in the group notice the mess and stop everything to watch. Then, he drops the sarcasm and throws out a direct compliment about the kid's cracked strength. Watching the guy's reaction, the blonde flashes a smirk, finding the whole thing interesting. Massive and imposing, a creature shows up blocking the view of everyone at the market. With his jaw on the floor after recognizing the elf, the guy can barely believe his own eyes. He locks onto the target with total focus, rocking a look full of mystery. Faced with the colossal threat, the group freezes up, noticing that dark, sinister aura. Carrying his hurt partner, the elf throws himself into a desperate jump to escape. Even midair, he drops a comment, impressed by how the kid is built different. He apologizes while pulling the guy, yelling for the chasers to back off. Wrapped in a thick, dark aura, the monster unleashes an overwhelming power. Feeling surprised seeing the kid standing, the elf drops a salty comment about that bold move. With a look full of disgust, he concludes this was all exactly what he expected. Now facing the duo, the creature lets out an ice-cold call for the kid. He offers to provide cover, begging the young guy to put an end to this fast. By proposing a trade, he makes it clear that something is about to go down. Flashing a smirk, he guarantees he'll listen to everything once the chaos is over. Marked by a confident look, he flexes that little smirk that gives it all away. Faced with the charge, he stares down the danger below and drops a bold challenge. He celebrates with a gleam in his eyes, hyped to finally learn more about the beasts. Pressing his finger on the magic circle, he triggers the item right on time. Taken by total surprise, he can barely react to the sudden water attack. Then, raising his arm firmly, he demands the rivals show the grimoire's true power. He delegates the task with that classic smirk while controlling the water around him. Feeling the magic flow rising, he can barely hold back the sheer size of that power. Proudly showing off his own work, he flexes the grimoire with a smile of pure satisfaction. With a water explosion, he strikes the creature, popping up right in his path. Caught off guard by the move, the elf freezes up, seeing that water rushing in. They stand there paralyzed as the two elves watch the magic torrent from up close. The darkness mixes with the water in a violent clash, creating a devastating impact. Focusing the rest of his energy, he drops a final challenge and fires again, completely wrecking the barrier. The element fusion sweeps the scene with brutal force. In an instant, the monster gets swallowed by the flood, while the duo watches it all from above. He drops a cynical smirk, commenting on how ruthless that whole play was. Right above, the duo breaks the silence with a direct call out to the beast. Now, pointing right at the target, they spot the weak point in that pulse. Thrown backward with brute force, the Colossus loses control under the torrent. Taking advantage of the opening, the elf locks his calculating gaze right on the red core popping out. He tightens his grip on the weapon's handle as a bright energy bursts out with everything. Wasting no time, the elf dashes forward, wrapping his body in an intense glow. In a snap, the energy explodes into lightning bolts, striking the core with full force. Falling backward, the monster watches that crimson sphere floating right above it. Anxious, the elf looks up and drops that question like she just can't hold back. With a brutal move, the giant body shatters to pieces, and those red masses break loose. Meanwhile, the two scan the open book, trying to figure out what's going down. It melts right in front of him, shooting multiple gooey spheres into the air. Meanwhile, a dark tentacle melts away, dripping a weird liquid onto the floor. Seeing the incoming danger, the elves start panicking and yell to fall back immediately. Desperate, the two elves turn their backs and run while that gross mass pushes forward. By focusing his gaze, he spots something shiny, like a power is awakening right now. And this is where it gets good. A red energy blast takes over the center stage, forcing the group to bail. He raises his hand, casting an overpowered water sphere that blows up in front of everyone. Now, the water vortex spins at full power, trapping the elves and creating total chaos. Feeling relieved with the whirlpool gone, they take a deep breath and wonder if it's over. Stretching his arm out with a chill look, he invites the opponent to bring it on. He gets back to work, using magic to move the wood with total ease. Right after, he reaches out and controls the water with crazy precision. Examining the weird item in his hand, he thinks about what that thing actually is. Looking at the object wrapped in thorns, he feels a strange wave of nostalgia hit him. The creatures show off their brutal chest scars, flexing weird glowing crystals. Then, the elf pops up out of nowhere and grabs the MC, making fun of his height. To make it worse, the elf keeps clinging to him while our hero tries to break free. Rocking a chill smile, the elf asks the MC about that special favor. Right after that, he kills the vibe and demands to know everything about the mythical Beast King. Driven by curiosity, the elf pushes the guy to drop details on how this mystery dude looks and fights. He gets super hyped and begs to know how to reach him, leaving the guy totally confused. Looking real close, the elf locks in that intense stare, just waiting for an answer. Then, the elf awkwardly ruffles the kid's hair, straight up treating him like a baby. Thrown off by the elf's weird behavior, the MC wonders if everyone in that race has this bizarre habit of sniffing people around. Giving a piercing look, the elf drops that the kid smells like a mythical beast, leaving the poor guy completely clueless. Things get even weirder when the elf leans in super close to his face. Now the elf carries a wooden beam and promises to reveal which beast they actually worship. Changing the subject, the elf gets even closer, wrapping the kid in a protective hug. Meanwhile, a mysterious winged silhouette pops up through the leaves, reading to past, present, and future. He's actually the wise king, the being who holds all the knowledge across the continent. Right then, the elf puts a finger to his lips, warning that the all-knowing guy might be watching. Pausing the chat, the tall figure looks down while the kid stays crouched on the ground. That sovereign elf actually knows every single thing happening in every corner of this world. To finally meet the king, the elf challenges him to beat the Guardians at the 50-year festival. Ringing up the event, the short guy points out the next one is still 2 years away. A cryptic smile pops up right then, giving away that he's plotting something behind the scenes. With a harsh comment to break the ice, the elf proves he's got a whole different plan in mind. Fired up for a fight, the young caster throws out a super bold challenge. The elf shuts that down fast, warning that beating him isn't enough since he gotta face all the Guardians. Catching onto the trap, the boy turns his head with a look that shows he ain't buying it. Down to business, the elf sets a rule. He's got 2 years to get way stronger. Flashing a cynical smirk, he warns he's gonna go all out with everything he's got tucked away. That cocky elf steps up to the kid, throwing shade about that so-called invite. Loaded with pure confidence, his gaze meets a distant, cryptic smile. Cutting out all the doubt, he promises the win is already in the bag. An old man pops up in the back, making the elf cut the chat and call out to the kid. Out of nowhere, the kid breaks the silence and calls out to his mentor figure. Strolling through the market, the teen bumps into an experienced old guy for a quick chat. Eyes locked on the elder's item, the boy drops a question about that weird object. Wanting to get a closer look, the guy asks to hold it and gets a thumbs up. A familiar face pops up out of the blue, calling the kid by his old name. Completely spooked, the old man's eyes go wide as he asks if the kid is actually in the guard. Mocking the old dude relentlessly, the elf gets told off for respect, leaving the kid completely lost. With a sharp turn of his head, the dark-haired boy stares down the scene looking cold as ice. Riding that vibe, the guy admits he actually fought in the last festival and lost to Shumio. That pointy-eared troll pokes fun at the kid, asking if he's seriously the apprentice. Annoyed by the jab, the elf drops a mocking laugh right in the old man's face. Suddenly, a boss storms in hot, going off about everyone slacking on the job. Before anyone can blink, the boss bails out, leaving the teen standing there completely clueless. Yelling at the top of his lungs, the kid cuts the whole thing short and tells them to hold up. Paying zero mind to the shout, the elf parkours through the city structures, running for his life from the boss. Still burning with curiosity, the rookie grills the elder for more details on that festival. Flashing a cryptic smile back at the old guy, the teen just drops a quick, "Got it," shutting down the old man's hype. The kid keeps it real, saying those Guardians are heavily OP. With a heavy sigh, the mentor admits he's too washed to join the event, but puts all his faith in the kid. Staring intensely, the old man seems to catch something super important on the boy's face. Rocking that cocky vibe, the kid drops a lazy "yeah" to show he couldn't care less. And that's where it gets crazy. Framed by the full moon, the mighty 7-star king shows up in eagle form. Zooming in close, the beast flashes a sinister glare, clearly hyped for the showdown. A few days fly by, and the whole scene shifts over to the tower's main lab. Checking out the mystery item, he figures out the material is a perfect match with the lab's gear. Digging deeper into it, the wise man realizes someone planted that thing there on purpose. A dead serious glare locks onto Alan, warning him that the road ahead is gonna be rough. Out of nowhere, that vintage desk phone starts ringing, shattering the quiet room. Picking up the receiver with a confused look, he bluntly asks what the heck is going on. Barely off the hook, he gets hit with a massive red alert. A demon army is incoming. Gripping the object tight, he feels some weird, heavy energy radiating off the piece. Bathed in the jewel's intense glow, the kid just watches the pure magic pulsing in his hands. His face lights up with a victory smirk as he yells in pure hype for finally getting it done. Scanning every inch of that crystal, he spots a mystic glow covering the whole thing. With the magic stone in hand, he completely zones out, thinking about the ancient power locked inside. Hooked by the scene, the blonde kid walks over and asks to get a look too. That blonde guy shoots a wicked look, flashing a smirk packed with hidden motives. Freaking out over the magic surge, the blonde screams at his buddy to stop right this second. Right then, a crazy hyped look takes over his face, showing off pure euphoria. The artifact suddenly awakens, blasting a vibrant blue aura right through the runes. Zooming in close, there's zero chance you miss the pure shock written all over his eyes. No one saw that coming. That glowing blue sphere burst right in his face, leaving him completely lost. Clueless as to what just happened, the kid just stares into space while his partner screams. Blinded blinded by the intense glow from the seal, he can only stand there wondering why. With that heavy vibration hitting him, he locks in his absolute certainty about the power. Struggling to hold back the magic, he vents about how it all keeps slipping through his fingers. His grip on the object tightens as he fights for control while the bright light leaks out. Pushed to the limit, the guy figures there has to be some kind of cheat code to handle this. After hearing the tutor break down how complex the magic is, he takes the challenge head on. Processing the danger, his mind flashes back to that warning about how tough this beast is to tame. As much as he wants to see the spell drop, he puts it on hold to deal with a major emergency right now. Suddenly, an alert pops up about the enemy army pushing forward, drafting him straight into the fight. The master quickly shuts down the kid's plans, ordering him to stay behind where it's safe. Super pissed about the sudden ban, the kid demands to know the reason behind that order, killing the vibe. The mentor admits that even with her cracked talent, something still feels off to him. Deep in thought about the guy's behavior, the kid wonders what's got him so tense. And just like that, a new day kicks off with the guy walking up the sunlit stairs. Confirmation drops right after that the backup squad finally hit the southern city. You can clearly see the regret on the student's face for letting the squad roll out without him. Pulling up to the front desk, he awkwardly brings up that ID card thing. He bumps into the dark-haired dude and awkwardly admits he just doesn't vibe with him. While they're chilling, she drops a question asking if he's used to the tower life yet. With a massive rune glowing up top, the duo faces the heavy tension filling the library. Caught completely off guard, they watch a red alert blast in the sky, ordering an immediate evac. Jaw dropped, the two shoot each other, confused looks trying to process the crazy news. Panicking hard, the red-haired dude screams for them to grab the tower master, completely shook. Pure dread hits the squad when they realize nobody made it out of the raid alive. She quickly apologizes to Alan and begs him to bail out of there right away. Flexing a mysterious look full of disgust, he stares down the opponent without blinking. As the vibe gets heavy, glowing magic warning marks pop up and wrap around the trio. Sweating cold, he thinks over the threat and figures the invader might still be lurking nearby. His eyes pop wide open while guarding the room, catching a weird noise right at the door. Kicking the door open reveals a fancy, chandelier-lit hallway stretching out right in front of him. Out of nowhere, a pair of sleek black boots steps onto the floor, exposing a hidden threat. Not shaken at all, the kid flashes a slight smirk while staring down that mystery dude in the hall. Peeking through a crack, he spots the lonely silhouette of a blonde girl just standing there. Those bright violet eyes get a tight close-up, staying completely dialed into everything happening. Letting out a heavy sigh, he stares into the void, rocking a super painful look. A strict voice suddenly cuts the silence, demanding to know what she's doing around there. Turning his head, the old master shows a face scarred by some heavy, deep letdowns. Meanwhile, a sharp-eyed teen pops up, completely dialed into an ancient spellbook. The old guy freezes, glaring at the kid before blurting out, "Are you that same brat from before?" Staring down the shivering girl, the guy complains that the slave completely ruined everything. With the vibe totally shifting, the kid senses something bizarre in the air, actually bending reality. Then the kid remembers his own promise to put this messed up world back where it belongs. Rocking a terrifying look, the old man locks his gaze and claims he's the actual chosen one. Brushing off the heavy pressure, the kid claps back at the ego trip, ready to prove he's built different. That scumbag villain smugly guarantees it's a massive honor to watch the end of everything unfold. And just like that, everything changed. A massive water wave bursts around the kid, leaving everyone in pure shock. Wrapped up in that raging current, he boldly claims to be the most OP being in existence. In the middle of all that tension, the elder yells out that he's the actual successor to the seventh stellar king. A massive whirlpool starts spinning around him, totally wrecking the entire background. Dark shadows start popping up like tentacles, wrapping him up in absolute chaos. At the same time, the ceiling gets blasted open, dropping the MC right into the mix from above. Completely gassed, he lets out a relieved sigh while sheathing his blade after that heavy hit. Throwing himself on the ground, the guy just tries to catch his breath after all that madness. He hunches over on the hall floor, hugging the book tightly against his chest in pure panic. Letting out a crazy laugh, the teen finally shows off his fully unhinged side. Right after that, the guy stares down what's right in front of him with his jaw dropped. His attention gets instantly snatched by a giant figure demanding to know who he is. Some monstrous long-haired beast dives into the void while the MC watches the whole thing from up high. Flexing his grip, he drops some cracked strength and crushes the solid concrete like it's nothing. The kid bounds through the rubble, snatching the grimoire and making sure nobody makes a run for it. A loud alarm rings out while he yeets himself right into the void, gripping the book tight. Voices blast through the comms, ordering all mages to step up and defend the capital. Completely dazed, he stares at the mystic book while a bright green energy wraps him up. Sprinting straight for the castle, the teen pushes through the gardens under a heavy cloudy sky. With pure panic setting in, the kid screams for backup as monsters swarm the group in the courtyard. Faster than you can blink, he slices through the enemies, giving those beasts zero chance. Keeping the momentum going, the guy rushes the courtyard with his grimoire wide open and ready to wreck. The kid lets out a high-pitched scream of pure horror after seeing that messed-up sight. Absolute chaos takes over the square as those beasts start attacking everyone with zero mercy. Tapping the book hard, he triggers the grimoire and makes all the seals glow like crazy. Flawless strikes slice the beasts mid-air while the crowd scrambles trying to get out alive. Sporting a locked-in look, he funnels all his energy straight into the spellbook. In a split second, his eyes light up as he feels a cracked power spike surging through him. Out of nowhere, a sharp pain catches the MC completely off guard while reading the tome. Looking down at the slaughter, the evil boss smirks and claims even mythical beasts become easy prey. With the winged beast leading the charge, panic sets in and the squad scrambles to escape. Right in the middle of the mess, he carries a survivor while a huge magic circle pops up. Massive fire blasts torch the whole area, making those monsters scream in pure agony. Heavy flames wrap right around the caster, who's flexing an unbelievably cracked magic power now. Stepping firmly through the blaze, his heavy footsteps echo like a deadly promise. Those glowing red eyes stare forward as the old man radiates a completely terrifying aura. Surrounded by the fire, he flips the book open and locks onto the enemy to kick off the duel. He keeps a close eye on the old guy up high, staying fully alert with all that fire around. Giant waves of green energy start spinning, launching the monsters straight into the sky. Ready to clap back, the kid forces his grimoire open and blasts a spell right at the goblins. Blazing flames morph into giant claws, just yeeting the monsters through the air. Chuckling like a snob over the fountain, the villain talks trash while the teen charges up a counterattack. The kid doesn't even flinch, smirking back and throwing the guy's past defeat right in his face. Despite getting rushed, the old man drops a savage burn while holding his ground. A massive tree trunk lands a flawless hit, smashing right into the beast's face mid-air. Stressing over his student, the master pops up out of nowhere and yells to check if he's alive. Some random guy in the crowd recognizes the grimoire and starts panicking, staring down the new rival. Hovering right above the fountain, a demonic figure leaks this super creepy crimson power. The squad panics upon realizing Malik broke free and screams for the rookie to back off right now. Out of nowhere, the MC bumps into some student, sending all their books flying to the floor. Floating high over the fountain, that snob just talks down to the kid like he's absolute trash. Dark aura wraps right around the old man's chest as he channels some twisted energy with a glowing red core. The student randomly freezes with wide eyes after spotting something completely off. Making a crisp click, he snaps the gem right onto the circular mechanism. Thorny vines quickly spread everywhere as he brags that nobody there is on his level. A whole squad of mages summons colorful runic circles and instantly kicks off the raid. Fire and water elemental blasts crash straight into the vines midair. That brutal impact sparks a massive explosion of flames and magic all over the battlefield. Standing right in the chaos, the kid keeps a super chill and confident look on his face. The beast gets completely shredded to pieces from the impact of all that raw power. Some one-horned being steps up next, flexing a creepy smile and glowing eyes. A massive slash randomly rips through the scene loaded with intense dark energy. Thanks to that strike, the fighters drop right at his feet, completely taken out of the fight. Zooming in on that sinister entity's face, the glowing red eyes show off a crazy, intimidating power. The guy starts stressing hard as he watches the beast casually heal off a direct hit. A bright, spiky sphere pops up between those two hands, raising a major red flag about what that entity actually is. Catching onto something weird, the MC locks his eyes on that spot, looking completely lost. Seconds later, the wound on the beast's shoulder just spits out some dark goo and crystals. Holding that glowing spiky artifact, the kid finally connects all the dots. The creature starts leaking a super heavy aura while gripping that magic sphere with spiky claws. Acting all arrogant, the beast goes on a trash-talking rant, disrespecting the item's worth. He throws a punch packed with raw energy, easily shattering what looks like a solid barrier. Raging hard, the teen lets out a hate-filled scream and points his finger straight at the guy. Unfazed, the beast reaches out with its icy, clawed hand to channel a bright blue energy. Despite being trapped by spiky vines, the MC brushes off the danger, kinda shocked at how easy this is. Flashing a blinding glow right from his palm, he shows off his brand new spiky weapon. She summons a colossal lightning bolt while surrounded by giant spikes, promising pure destruction. Sporting a sadistic grin, the villain threatens to turn everything to ashes the second he wins. Under a sky full of flaming spheres, she promises to wipe out every single one of those beasts. Standing in the blazing ruins, he proudly yells that he's gonna be the one and only 7-star king. They completely lose their minds seeing the damage, claiming it's officially game over for humanity. Refusing to take the L, one of them charges up a massive glowing energy in his palm. That crazy glow from his ring lights up as he drops a ruthless promise to end his enemy. Locked in, the kid flips open his ancient grimoire and gets ready to cast a brand new spell. Trapped by all those spikes, the long-haired freak rages hard and starts screaming his cocky nonsense. He taps the glowing artifact with surgical precision, instantly triggering his cracked new power. Keeping his eyes on the prize, the kid cracks the grimoire open and announces he's dipping out. With explosions rocking the background, he fully channels the 7-star king's power, taunting his opponent. That blonde freak dares the beat-up kid to keep fighting. The kid drops his jaw at all that raw energy, feeling the heavy pressure from his enemy. This is where it gets good. The aura completely erupts, snaking its way straight into the infinite space. Seconds later, a heavy mechanical click echoes out as the grimoire exposes a blinding core of light. Stealing the show, the caster drops a cosmic wave that lights up the entire room. That blonde scumbag charges in, feeling completely invincible while flexing his razor-sharp claws. Wasting no time, the dark-haired kid summons magic spikes right in front of the wall. With a lightning-fast swing, he slices the air and completely wrecks the spiky barriers like it's nothing. The creature made of stars shows up looking majestic, facing the boy's stunned gaze. Dropping a solemn tone, he begs that powerful cosmic entity for a hand. While the artifact glows brightly, the mystic energy takes shape in the sky. Floating in the void, the protagonist controls the magic flows spinning all around. Right then, its giant eye pops up on the horizon, showing a whole galaxy inside its iris. Pulling a precise move, the young guy commands the blue energy floating right in front of him. Despite feeling the weight of that massive power, the kid decides to push forward. Locked in, he channels all that blue energy, swearing he's gonna master it completely. And that's where it gets crazy. The magic seal pops open, exposing ancient symbols around the crystal. Soon after, a mysterious smile creeps onto the character's face, signaling incoming trouble. Wrapped in this blue energy spiral, he starts summoning his max power. That intense light blinds the opponent, making him lose his cool on the spot. Stunned by the brightness, both guys watch the whole thing completely baffled. Flashing a bright gleam in his eyes, he finally confirms he reached the peak. Right now, he summons a massive narwhal made entirely of crystal clear water. The whole squad stops dead in their tracks, jaw drops seeing the ground get swallowed by spikes. Panicking hard, the healers rush to the wounded scattered across the floor. Faced with that dark phantom, the trio freezes up, unable to believe their eyes. With teary eyes, she stares at the scene, completely paralyzed by the shock. Dropping from the skies, the aquatic beast shines bright, leaving everyone in awe. Clueless about the trap, the enemy can barely react as spikes pin him down. That horned villain falls into deep shock, barely believing what he's seeing. Feeling an absurd weight, he can barely stand his ground, fighting off the exhaustion. Crushed by an overwhelming pressure, the young guy finds himself almost bending to the power. Despite this sudden hit, he keeps his cool, promising that everything will be alright. Wrapped in this monumental aura, the MC finally feels the ancient energy accepting him. Diving into a sea of doubts, he breaks down the choices he has left. Under the intense light, the book starts leaking its mysterious truths. Surrounded by magic spikes, the woman loses her patience and yells, clearly pissed off. And no one saw that coming. A flash of pure magic pierces right through her body, while multiple spikes hit the target with everything. Right now, the young guy unleashes his full power, blasting out an epic magic energy. Blinded by Sakria's intense glow, the character falls into pure despair and lets out a scream. Out of nowhere, shark clawed hands cover the boy's face, while a dark fluid drips from his eyes. Locking in a firm glare, the MC points his hand while triggering the target lock. A magic phenomenon lights up the night sky over the castle with bright stars and a spectral beast, leaving the king and his squad jaw-dropped. Instantly, a star-shaped magic attack shatters the monsters on the spot. Shark crystal blasts rip through the threads with flawless precision. Blowing up on impact, the magic hits the monsters dead-on while the group watches, totally paralyzed. Soon enough, a massive spectral whale drops from the skies, stealing the show with a blue glow. Sporting a cold look full of disgust, he reaches out, promising to show Merrick everything left behind. Caught completely off guard, the being gets trapped by thorny vines piercing its chest. A spiral spell slices through the air, catching everyone watching close by surprise. Moving his hands with speed, he summons magic rings that slice up the enemies. Right now, an ancient magic takes over the place with a colossal glowing circle. Filled with pure disgust, the opponent lets out a humiliating yell at the kid. Under the intense magic glow, he brings his hands together and starts chanting the spell. He quickly casts the Ice Crystal Garden, unleashing a freezing power. As the ice spreads, the enemy gets trapped and surrounded by thorny vines. Bursting through the ice, a giant whale made of pure blue energy shoots up from the ground. That ice morphs into monstrous shapes, building a sketchy path for the trio. Mocking the whole thing, he shatters the ice using sharp spikes in his hand. Freaking out, the villain yells in disbelief, seeing his raw strength can't even crack the defense. Despite the shock, he stays chill and warns that the enemy's effort is just useless. This time, the opponent channels a heavy freezing energy into his crystal hands. Rocking an ice-cold glare and a clenched fist, the MC declares it's all over. By focusing his gaze, the intense glow in his eye gives away a bottled-up, ruthless fury. Racked in freezing shrapnel, the villain lets out a roar of pure rage. A gigantic creature steps out of the glow, leaving the enemy completely paralyzed. His hand goes up smoothly, summoning a magic barrier that shines brightly. With a calm look and glowing eyes, he just whispers a genuine thank you. Lifting his grimoire to the sky, he unleashes a magic wave that lights up the whole courtyard. Caught off guard, a young girl reacts as the blue light swallows everything around her. All around them, the blue glow spreads fast, leaving everyone jaw-dropped. And just like that, everything changed. A magic wave explodes across the city, bathing the whole place in light. Stepping up, a white-bearded king shows up, reaching out his hands to welcome them. Hypnotized by the sight, the little boy watches the show as magic particles fall down. Vision blurred by the particles, he reaches out like he could actually touch this new reality. Feeling the power flow, he tries to reach the ancient magic of the legendary beasts. Meanwhile, a hooded figure watches the city from afar and completely ditches Merrick. On top of that, he breaks down the pseudo-demonization data to copy the whole process. Hanging upside down from a branch, the plotter vows his pawns are spread all over, now locking on to the kid who controls the beast. Dark hands wrap around a crystal sphere, scheming to send out a very special pawn. With pure submission, the servant bows and confirms the plan is going exactly how the master wants. The cult, riding a dark horse, claims that only demons can put the world back together. Rising from a gooey darkness, the solemn reveal drops the arrival of the 8th stellar pillar. While the human realm takes a beating from the demon raid, friends try to shield the wounded apprentice from the mess. Amidst the sighs of relief and complaining, the young guy hears a jab about his smell and claps back. Word traveling at lightning speed, the guy hands something over to the squad. Right after, the kid holds out a blue flower, leaving the crowd around him completely shook. Hearing his name called, the guy snaps his head around in a sudden jump. The voice echoes down the hall, screaming for the guy as he rushes into the place. Out of nowhere, a book drops right next to him, making the kid jump in surprise. Standing at the door, the newcomer freezes up, looking at that massive pile of open books. He quickly asks, totally annoyed, how anyone even manages to sleep in that twisted position. Appreciating the hard work, he flashes a kind smile while hyping up his ally. Still groggy and lost, he mutters for more stones while feeling around for the book. The old official freezes from the shock of that reveal, letting out a completely baffled what? Pissed off by the silence, the king demands an answer about the title and the lands. With his eyes shining in awe, the monarch checks out the little magic creature. Even the most stubborn nobles in the room get hooked by the creature's blue glow. As the news spreads, the wealthy elite starts dumping donations into the tower. The king turns around with a smile, ready to drop a heavy reward on the hero. Refusing to get played, the master questions the king's game plan and turns down the offer. Defeated, the monarch takes the answer and waves off the need for any surveillance. His sharp, piercing stare holds strong as the ruler keeps a serious and dominant vibe. Dropping a direct order, the king demands the kid be raised as a royal shield. All the while, the old elder watches the scene with a dark, tense look on his face. Pushing back against the hate, the kid ignores the bossy tone and claims his own space. Standing by the window, the wise man silently stares out at the massive castle. In a goofy fit of rage, the little guy screams desperately, refusing to get locked up. Shortly after, he points to a mountain of gifts, dropping the kid's jaw to the floor. Surrounded by multiple clones of himself, the little guy notices the mess on his desk. A quick look at the gift pile is enough for him to catch the sender's hidden motives. That dark-haired kills the vibe, quickly grabbing the blonde guy's attention. Scanning the precious item, the blonde instantly recognizes the rare jewel's exotic roots. Super hyped about the find, the boy asks if he can test all that purity. The old scholar keeps a serious face, confirming the info with a simple nod. This time, he promises that handling attribute jewels is a complete breeze. Impressed by his buddy's talent, the blonde hypes him up and decides to hand over the gem. His own weakness hits hard as the guy admits he needs way more power before those 2 years are up. Breaking the silence, the old instructor calls Alan out for a training session in the open field. 2 ancient grimoires float in the air, leaking secrets about attributes and their branches, triggering a complex spell. The veteran starts fusing the 2 jewels together. As an emerald energy wraps around the student, the master declares he'll be his guide. Running up the stairs, the girl summons a water torrent against the isolated rival.